So, welcome everyone to the grand finals. Hera and Leary versus Miguel and Dogao in Empire vs. Duo 2 in a best of 7. T90 will be joining me for the cast. So, let's say hi to Tristan here. Hello, hello. Looks like T90 is deafened, so we're gonna have to wait for him to unmute himself. This is just the suspense, the silence, the calm before the storm. He might not know he's muted. But he can't hear me either, so I can't tell him. Well, that's an awkward start. Alright, let's just say that he's gonna be ready in a moment, and he will pop in when he pops in. He's gonna scare me.
Alright. Lidicor, hello, man. How you doing?
Hello. I'm alright. It's a little bit of an exhausting day. We can say that, I believe. Sure. Doing this for 6.5 hours now, but this is where the main hype is. Grand finals time.
Yep, I'm with you, man. Can you, Lidicor, this is very unprofessional, but I gotta get this kitten out of my room. Why don't you talk about the Sieve Draft real quick before we start? I'll be right back.
Alright, I guess it's my job to explain the civs and explain the maps over here as T90 is escorting the kitten out of the room. We have Aftermath, B, Heron Lear with Atacama, Golden Pit, and Kavasan. Forest Cape of Storms, and Rock Slide for Miguel and Dogao. One of the things that stands out for me for Heron Lear's draft is that they picked Paws. This is only the second time in the entire tournament Paws were picked that they never won a game, so style points go to Heron Leary for that. No Bohemians, so I guess the new DLC is only going to be represented by the Paws. Other side?
I'm back.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Welcome back. I was just about to mention that we are still waiting for the first ever victory of Paws in this tournament. They only were played once and they lost, so...
Okay.
Well, disappointment on their side. We had some concerns adding new civilizations into the tournament because, you know, who knows how balanced they are. In the end, right. Bohemians were sometimes picked, but Paws, well, so far so good. 1 game, 0 wins.
Okay, well, I mean, there's a lot of Pole fans right now, but truthfully, it's not the strongest Civ, and I think the game mode also doesn't necessarily suit it. So, anyways, we're going to try and keep tabs here. I assume within the Discord, we're going to be getting updates on when the games will start.
Yep.
But, you know, we had some very competitive semifinals, and to me, I believe Heresy could really beat Aftermath here. I don't necessarily think Heresy come in here as favorites because of Leary's reputation and Hera's reputation. But man, did Heresy look good. And they beat a Suomi team which was on fire earlier.
Yeah, one of the interesting things for Heresy is that they didn't lose a single set in the entire tournament so far, but they always played it out until the last game. So group stage, 2 wins, and now quarterfinals as well, 3-2. And they won 4-3 against Suomi. So they always played very, very close sets.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I also am looking forward to this because we've seen slightly different approaches at times on different maps, you know, with different civs. I see even with the draft, Kumans, for example, Kumans being prioritized a lot earlier than maybe you would expect from Aftermath. So we'll be into the first game shortly here, I think. And I'm excited for best of 7, Lita. I've had my fair share, and you've had your fair share of days where we've had to cast all day. So it's nice to have somebody else right now.
Oh, yeah. It's very funny because, you know, it's best of 7s only, but it's Empire Wars, so...
Sure.
You would just think, okay, some of the games are fast, we're gonna get through that pretty fast. But, well, sometimes it's just very long, grindy games. Sometimes it is 7 games a set, and both semifinals have delivered, so it's probably better for the viewers as well that we have 2 close semifinals and sort of a long day instead of 2 stomps and a short day.
Yeah, it happens. It depends on the event. You know, sometimes players deliver on every front, sometimes they don't. Just the players are human. Real big question for you here as you're loading into game number 1. There's a countdown for me. Does it show which civilizations are actually going to be played in game 1?
Yes and no. The reason why it's not showing to you is because that's still just a lobby that exists. It's not a started game.
Are you sure about that? Because it has a countdown. It says Leary's random, Miguel's random, Hera's random, and then there's an empty space, and then Dogal's Vikings for me. So this is a weird little. I don't know what to make of this. Maybe you think I'm not in the correct game right now?
You should be in the correct game. It's just a matter of the fact that it didn't start. I think it has something to do with that link that you use.
Okay.
Because you basically are trying to join a game that will be created from the lobby, but the game is not created yet. So
really? That's weird. Anyways, we'll continue. I'll take your word on that.
How do you feel about these Sieve drafts over here? I did highlight the pause here. Aftermath be also picking Burmese, something that they picked in the previous one as well. Do you think that either side has a Civ advantage?
Honestly, it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell where they're going to match up the civilizations. It's too early to form strong opinions on where the civilizations or how they'll play out. There's just too many civs. And 2v2s, I think it's too complicated to know until you see where they match them. So I think we'll have some real questions answered on how I like the drafts, maybe 2 or 3 games in. 2 or 3 games in, at that point, you've eliminated a lot of civs. You have to try and like fit those pieces of the puzzle together. But I guess if I had to pick one draft, I'd probably pick Heresies, but I don't know. Hard to say, man.
It is. They had a pretty early Saracens pick, so I wonder what's the idea with that. We have seen some interesting Saracen approaches in the previous rounds, either as an archer civ on various maps, or, for example, Cape of Storms Pocket with just full market usage.
Right, yeah. Okay. Well, I think Saracens is a little bit situational as well. Sometimes we've seen Saracens have success. Sometimes the market is something they rely on too much. Let me know on your end if you actually see the game is starting, because this little screen I was on is now at 0 seconds for me. So I think you're right.
Yeah,
maybe
they're just now launching, I believe.
Really? So wait a second. So you can click the link and bypass the countdown if you do it my way? That's weird.
I don't think that you can do that. You probably will just freak out the game.
My point is my point is I think I don't know, man. Anyways,
okay. Now the game is launched.
From complaining too much. Okay, it's launched. Okay.
And we have the surprise. We gotta give some star points here to Hera. He's gonna go with pause.
Okay, so you're in the game, I assume.
Yep. We have the spec
go ahead and talk. Yeah, go ahead and talk. I'll figure it out and get in and catch up to you. Polls, you said, game 1. That's sick.
Yeah, that's sick. But if you think about it, it's not really a bad idea. In fact, for Empire Wars, especially if you think back how Bad Boy and Song Song played the Arabia game against Hera and Leary, they went really heavy on Castle Age pressure, and Paws are perfect for that.
Whoa, wait a second. You're in the game and watching it right now? Did it launch or not?
We have the spec countdown. It's still 1 minute.
Oh, okay, we're good. I was freaking out there. Yeah, we got a minute on my end too. So, yeah, okay. Now, here's the deal, Lita. You say polls, not that bad of an idea. But do you think it's just the case of Hera being good enough to make it work? Or do you genuinely think the polls are going to be lights out here and better than Miguel's scouts of Frank's?
It's hard to say. I think that there is definitely some Hera magic in that polls pick. So, technically speaking, Hera and Leary are the favored team in this one by quite a significant margin. So, yeah. You would think that maybe they are a little bit more cautious if the opponent is a little stronger. It's very hard to find a stronger opponent than Heresy right now, though, so it's just the magic of Hera and Leary here. But I think it's more about the fact that they have other cavalry civs for other maps, and you draft 32 civilizations out of 39 in this best of 7, so it's not like there's a lot of cavalry civs left at the end. Yeah. And you probably want to save up something like Spanish for a longer game, Khmer for something like Atacama or Cape of Storms, so it's probably because you just don't have a good alternative here. You have better use of your other cavalry civs elsewhere.
Well, I mean, it's kind of weird to say this, but truthfully, Aftermath have not had good performances as we hop into game number 1. They've not had good performances when it comes to Arabia, right? So, Lita, take it away. First game of the finals.
Indeed, welcome everyone to the grand finals. We will have Aftermath B, formerly known as Tempo, with Pause for Hera in blue on the north. Down south is Portuguese for Lyra in green. And pretty close to Lyra's base is Miguel with his red Franks. To the north of him is Dogao in yellow Vikings. I kind of feel like Miguel and Dogao went for the traditional Civ picks, and, well, these are the stronger Civs on paper on this map.
Yeah, I think when you think about a final, you have to think about every single game. And you had asked me about the draft originally, and I'd said it's really hard to say right now. At this point, based on the civilizations, maybe Hera's going to go for some crazy farms around his full work or something, and it's going to skyrocket his food eco up. I don't know, but you definitely have to think that Miguel and Dogao are going to want this one. If they were to lose this game, they have 2 top-tier civilizations for their position to start it all off. And look at this. You've got scout teamwork here from Hera Leary. Good job from Miguel. He's been able to get the villager away.
Indeed. We did mention that historically in this tournament, Hera and Leary didn't have amazing performances in Arabia, but that's also applicable to Miguel. I think in the quarterfinals they played, Miguel had an awful first game on Arabia. Then he played much, much better in the upcoming games. So we'll see what he can do in Arabia here. Under a bit of a pressure, and he lost his berries with Franks.
Yeah, that's unfortunately just really common against archer play because they go spear archer. So Leary, he has to have success with that in these finals. You look over at Hera, though. Hera, the scout player, did have some problems against the initial spearman, but still taking his berries, able to drop his farms next to the full work. So I think a better start for Hera, at least, as we see Miguel now looking for some counterattacks.
And with the pause, you really need to secure yourself against those early archers at the beginning, because losing control over that forework is massive. That's basically your economy bonus, so you really need to keep control of that.
Okay, well, we'll see, and I think for Miguel, he tends to make a lot of scouts on Arabia. For now, that's a small victory there for Aftermath to deny those berries. The farms are definitely going to be good. The walls for Miguel will be good. Dogao has just been Mr. Consistent. He always is in team games. And Dogao will be completely walled up, so look for him to move out. That's a lot of scouts for Hera there, though. Hera could consider taking a fight there.
He could. He doesn't have a single upgrade on those, but nonetheless, trading scouts to archers is probably pretty valuable. Especially because Dogao has a very strong eco with Vikings, so he will probably soon click up, and you prefer to destroy those archers before they turn into crossbows.
Yeah, now, Dogao could send his archers over to save Miguel, but Miguel's already taken damage. So they're kind of giving up on that. Instead, he's sending his archers forward, and they're going to have a little 2v1 at Hera's base. Now, Hera, he's no stranger of this. He's making additional scouts, and he's figuring the farms around the pole's full work are going to kind of pay for this. It's a risky spot to invest in the farms, though, as you see the scouts and the archers and the spearmen coming in. I think Hera could have some big problems here.
He could. He's mining stone, so he's doing the Polish thing, not mining gold for casting, just mining stone. This also allows him to be going for a couple of stone walls pretty easily, but as you said, this is problems for Hera.
You know, if they knew his berries and his farms were over there, they would have gone there instead. They just assumed that the rest of his base is locked down. Hera's able to freely sit there taking that food. This is really good for Hera. He could have taken so much more damage from this push. But then again, he still could take more damage from this push. He's got to be real careful.
He could. Scouts are going down now for Miguel, and as you said, Hera is a little bit lucky over here that Miguel and Dogao doesn't know about those berries and that forward, because that would be a significant portion of Hera's farming eco gone. Still, he had to make a lot of quick walls here, lost his stone mine, so that investment into the mining camp is also down the drain.
But I think you look at how Hera wanted to play this. He wanted to have a lot of food income. He wanted to make a lot of scouts. He's doing that. And then you have Miguel with a similar situation to before in the group stage. He's just added a lot of towers so far. Not able to do too much with his scouts here, and Leary's going to be the first to castle age.
The concern here for AM is that Leary indeed is the first to castle, but Hera is nowhere close. And while light cavs are nice and everything, but currently all opponents are fully walled. And you would have knight soon for Miguel, so this could backfire really badly here for Hera, although he might find a couple of archer picks here with those scouts.
I don't know if he will, actually, because Dogao comes in with reinforcements. Again, if Dogao just shifted the other way, like, that would keep Hera in feudal age forever. Hera now with houses to try and, block this army off, but he needs a lot of scouts to be able to engage against these archers. And they'll be upgraded soon, Lidakor. They'll be upgraded in 50 seconds.
And I think that now Hera's gonna have to go for a defensive tower because Dogao starts to feel that there is something more to the north, and he is absolutely right about that. Leary is about to hit Dogao's gold mine though, so Dogao is off from gold.
Ooh, that's a big one here. And Dogao has to block both sides here. And he needs that gold. Hera can kind of relocate his farms. Good tower to defend. Leary's been untouched. That is a terrifying thing if you're Miguel and Dogao right now.
It is. And Dogao is off from gold. He can squeeze in Botkin and Crossbow, but this will delay his ballistics, and it's not like he has a good backup gold mine to play around with either. He has to call his entire army back home to clean this one up. That hurts so badly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think Hera really benefited from them going the wrong direction. Hera was able to make this amount of scouts, able to stay alive, able to keep his eco in a fairly solid state, and there he goes on the way to Castle H. And now Miguel is either going to have to send some help over to Dogao, or he's going to have to go directly to Leary to try and hit him. Leary is looking in his sweet spot right now.
Yeah, Leary booming on 2 TCs is pretty scary. On the other hand, he needs to be careful not to lose his army here, because we already have knights coming in from Miguel with soon +2 defense, and Hera is still very far from being able to help.
Hera is helping in attack, though, right? He's attacking some of these units here. Dogao now distracted on this wood line. Great damage control. I would have lost a lot more villagers here. And Leary with Portuguese sitting at home. Obviously isn't going to have the economy that really competes with Dogao's economy, but Leary's got crazy army numbers right now. 29 crossbows. I think Miguel needs to take a good fight against these crossbows before Leary can meet up with his group at home. He's going to try and do that now.
And indeed he does. There is some knights trickling in, so this could easily turn into a trap though for Leary. There is no ballistics though for Dogao, and microing against Leary without ballistics is just a nightmare.
Right. Well, having +2 will be huge here. I think it's all about value. You are always going to lose this fight if you're Hera and you're Leary, but it's about what amount of time it's going to give you. And so I think they'll be very happy with this. Leary was able to send his whole other army across the map. Granted, it's a little risky. But yeah, this will get dealt with. But Hera's now has not been punished at all. Hera can sit at home. And full control for the Aftermath players now.
Indeed, and a castle for Hera. Oh boy, he wants to spam the knights. He just needs the unique upgrade.
Yo, this is... This is pretty crazy to start off a final this way. And the entire day, I've just had people asking me, why no polls? Why no polls? I'm like, polls are bad. Hera's going to show us what he can do with the unique tech. Do you think he's going to be able to field that many more knights after getting that unique tech, though? I mean, it's 500 food, 300 gold. He can't afford that right now.
Yeah, and he's playing 1 PC, 53 villagers, 3 stables, though. That's my main problem.
Yeah.
Like, with such a discount, 3 stables might work out, but I feel like he's gonna be set back very heavily economically, so if this Night Flood doesn't work out, his eco is going to be a disaster, and there's an overchop on the left side.
Whoa, there is an overchop on the left side. He gets the tech, and let's see if he reacts to this. Hera, of course, is going to be looking at some other things, and oh boy. So now he's 1 TC against 3 TCs when compared to Miguel, and he's losing villagers, and he's off of gold.
Yeah, being off from gold hurts the most for him. He still has a gold trickle thanks to the stone mining, but Polish knights are cheap in gold cost, but not that cheap.
Yeah. I mean, you also need farms. I mean, there's other aspects, right? If you've got to make enough army to make up for the fact you don't have military. And Miguel's like, oh, you don't have military. I'm just going to think about running underneath your TC. Hera's position is really not strong right now. But I'll tell you what, Leary has a ton of crossbows at Miguel's base. And Miguel, I don't think, has noticed this. Because if he noticed it, he would have run away. So, good stuff from Leary.
Yeah, Leary's got quite a lot here. The TC should be able to contain these. As Dogao is heading towards Leary's base, though, and Leary doesn't have that much at home to defend. Hera is just not getting his knights out. Once Hera starts the Night Flood, this is gonna be really scary, though.
Well, if you're gonna play like this, and this is kind of a lesson for anyone out there. You know you're behind an economy, stay behind an economy, and get ahead in the other aspect of the game, and that's, of course, military. So, yeah, Miguel being wasteful here, losing some knights and HP on the front, is really not good if Hera is indeed going to be on, like, 3 or 4 stables. Good control still, and good economy for the Heresy team, but my goodness. 46 crossbows for Leary. This is, like, prime Leary, exactly the spot you'd want him in if you're Hera.
So, looking at the ecos, that's actually heavily in the favor of Heresy, and Leary was able to idle some of Miguel's eco, but he wasn't able to kill that many vills. Whereas on the other side, there is a lot more damage done by Dogao with those crossbows now.
Yep. It's also, you're kind of a little bit on the clock right now if you're low eco. So if you're dealing with stuff in your own base, it just puts more and more pressure for you to clear that up and then kill the enemy. I mean, Hera's going all in here. This is the way you'd have to play it. I'd like to see an extra full work or two. He currently has 18 knights, but there are 21 for Miguel. So it still seems like the eco is just so important.
Alright, looks like it's Imperial Age time for Dogao though, and that's where the Viking eco comes in. He needs to be careful with those crossbows. He also is outnumbered pretty heavily, but if he gets to Imp here, that could potentially snowball the game, especially because even Cavalry wouldn't save Hera. Even if he gets to Imp, he doesn't have +4 defense, and that's where walls will really start falling off.
Oh man, they've been so wasteful with their army here, Heresy. Miguel losing knights unnecessarily. Now you have Hera getting a good engagement against Dogao. I mean, the eco's there. That should be exciting for them. But if Dogao doesn't have his numbers when he's an imp, this is going to be problematic, Lita. Look at this. Miguel's going to pop out. That is still so many crossbows from Leary. He's almost at a point where he can one-shot those knights.
He is, and Hera is just spamming knights all across the map here. He's got 4 stables, and as I said, he needs some more bulwarks just to make sure that he's getting that consistent eco bonus.
Yep. Doesn't have too much on gold, interestingly enough. So again, for viewers that don't know, Poles actually get half the amount of gold as they do stone when they mine stone. So Hera's got 7 on stone, 7 on gold. At this point, you just try and hit Miguel's production. Miguel will have fewer knights than Hera, most definitely, if he starts to lose these stables and has to rebuild them. And honestly, Lita, I'm really torn on this right now. Obviously, Dogao's going to be an imp soon, so it's still very possible for Heresy. But I'm unsure on if this is the unique tech being very strong, or if it was Miguel and Dogao losing a lot of their army before their eco kicked in.
I kind of feel like it was more like Miguel and Dogao losing it, because sure thing, there is 30 knights for Hera, but if we look at Miguel's KD, he's got 32 kills, 42 deaths, so I kind of feel like he just lost. Like, the difference between them is pretty much the number of knights lost. The TC is gonna be gone for Miguel just before Wheelbarrow finishes.
Yeah, I mean, this is brutal regardless. At this point, if Hera adds town centers, which he probably shouldn't, then Hera's going to catch up in villagers. Miguel only on 2 TC. Actually, he's on 3. But it's all about army. It has been all tournament. And typically, you're talking about Leary getting to Arbalest first. It's not going to be the case here. So, with Leary on the way now to the Imperial Age, there's about 3 minutes for Dogao to kind of push back here, threaten Leary, threaten Hera in some way. And it seems like Aftermath are just happy to run away from this for now.
Yeah, they're more than happy. In fact, they should just use Hera's knights to run straight to Dogao's base and just force Dogao to chase with the Arbalests.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a really good move. Send the knights over to Dogao. Leary could maybe pull home. And I love the castle from Leary. This kind of stops that all-in push from Dogao coming to his base. Dogao seems to be going towards Hera, but I mean, Hera already has 1 castle. That does kind of help. And Hera's going Imperial Age. What in the world? This is crazy play here.
Yeah, I mean, that Folwark bonus is going to kick in eventually, plus the trickle of gold helps quite a bit. And the beautiful thing about those defensive castles is that this pretty much makes it much harder for Dogao to go for an Arbalest push from one side. So I think it was MBL who did Bulgarian town centers to try and contain that. These Polish castle play is probably just as good at limiting the movement of those arts from Dogao.
Will the castle save 51 crossbows, though? That is a lot of crossbows that are still about a minute and a half away from upgrades. Hera's going to delete his walls as Leary's trying to micro and back away here. Impressive job from Leary, honestly, because he's been able to get a decent amount of kills, and he's still kept his mass alive. And there goes Hera into Miguel's eco. Miguel cannot stop this Lidacor.
He cannot. He has already lost all his lumberjacks. He's got no food income. And even if Dogao steamrolls Hera at this point, it is going to be an even game. And Dogao is very, very far from destroying Hera here.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, not only is this looking like it could be a victory for Aftermath, but then you have to consider the civilizations. I think most would agree Franks and Vikings are actually stronger. And then the mental aspect. If you lose this game to what Hera and Leary are doing, you're not going to be feeling very confident moving forward, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and
what a performance.
I think we're getting the answer to our question. Part of this is the unique tech here for Pause, because Hera is just flooding out knights. Once he has this eco set with like 70-ish vills and the unique tech, this is probably even better than Berbers in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you have to think about how much eco do you need, I guess. And you certainly need less. So, yeah, I don't know. But for Leary, he just needed to make sure he got his imp upgrades. He now has his imp upgrades. He has more Arbalest than Dogao. And his teammate is in the better position. Miguel is, I mean, not really going to be defeated. But Miguel's in the Castle Age. Miguel has knights that have the normal cost. And Hera's got these knights that are incredibly cheap. He's also getting Cavalier now. Of course, lacking armor sucks, but Cavalier's still way better than Knight.
It is. And especially considering that the key thing here for him would be mobility. Because Dogao would have a very, very slow-moving army.
Wow. Dude, again, what a statement there from Hera and Leary. I believe they went in there with the worst civilizations, and Hera really utilized the Pole's strengths to his advantage there. To me, though, maybe some first game finals rust or nerves, because I thought Dogao was wasteful with his crossbows, and I thought Miguel was wasteful with his knights. There was a point where they each had like 15 or 20 villagers over the opponent, and they continued to take bad fights. You're not going to win the final that way.
Exactly. We have to keep in mind that, once again, Miguel had a pretty underwhelming game here on Arabia, but when they played the quarterfinals, he had a pretty bad game on Arabia, and then just finally found his way in the upcoming games, and he played like a beast. And we have seen it so many times that the team that wins the first game, it might just be because the opponent is not warmed up appropriately.
Sure.
And I also expect Heresy to perform much better on their own home maps.
If you look at the resources right now, it's pretty interesting, right? So you've got Hera with the most food, which is pretty crazy because you had Miguel on 3 TC food eco on the other side. So using the full works and using the farm upgrades really did benefit Hera there using the poles. And then you look at his gold collected and it doesn't really wow you. But then you have to remember that, quick math here, like 1250. Yeah, 1,250 gold came from just mining the stone. And then his knights were so much cheaper. So, I mean, that gold count, that food count, paid for the victory, essentially. Well played, Hera.
Indeed, that is actually more gold than Miguel collected. And as you said, it's much cheaper to get those knights out for the poles. So, really, Hera used poles the way they are meant to be used.
Maybe. Like, yes. But I think if I were to ask Miguel right now, like, hey, what do you think about that game? He would say, there's no way we should have lost that. So I think you are correct in that he used it the way they should be used. I'm not sure if it should have had that much success. And I hope Heresy can kind of push that out of their minds a little bit. All right. So home maps. We have 3 home maps available for Heresy. We have 3 home maps available for Aftermath. Go directly to those home maps. Elita, what was so interesting about Heresy's semifinal was how it went back and forth. You had game 1 Arabia victory for them, and then it was Suomi home map, Heresy home map, and it just continued like that. You didn't see a single loss in the home maps. So you have to expect that Heresy is going to be strong on their home maps here. We've got Cape of Storms, Forest Pond, and Rockslide. Any map you think that Heresy maybe excelled in compared to some of the other ones?
Oh, it's hard to say, especially because it was a long day, so I probably forgot the majority of what happened. I think they won their Cape of Storms game, right? Against Suomi.
Cape of Storms, yes, they did. Yep.
Yeah, I can see that working, but it's rough because Aftermath loves that map. Hera and Leary just thrive in that so much. So it's a little bit dangerous to go for that over here. I kind of feel like a slower pace map like Forest Pond or Rockslide could work out slightly better. But Rockslide is also tricky because sometimes it turns into two 1v1s, and that
Yeah.
should be favoring Hera and Leary. So maybe Forest Pond is your best bet.
Yeah. By the way, on the draft, if you just look at the order and the prioritization of the civilizations, that is killer. Pick 1 was Vikings. They just lost with Vikings. Pick 3 was Franks. So considering Ethiopians was sniped, their 2 best civilizations, their 2 most prioritized civilizations, they just lost to Poles and Portuguese with. That is really bad. And Poles were the final pick. I didn't even think Hera would play with them. I thought it'd just be picked, so the viewers would be like, oh, Poles, oh my god. And then, we wouldn't see him, but there we go.
Yeah, that is massive value there for Hera and Leary. They probably said, okay, they might even have gone for Poles and Portuguese just to go back on why they selected it, because they knew that it's gonna be Franks and Vikings anyways.
Maybe.
So they were like, okay, let's try it with these weaker civs. They picked 2 amazing civs, their first 2 picks, but we'll have our better picks for our own home maps.
Yeah. So if we're talking, if the next home map is Cape of Storms, I fully expect to see Kumans here. I think that this is a prime position with the draft setup to go for a Civ which can be successful, but not necessarily the best Civ for someone else's home map. And they picked Kumans really early. So I think since Kuman archer ranges are so cheap now, I believe there's some really strong belief on Hera and Leary's side that if you pick Kumans and you make 3 archer ranges versus 2, you're going to dominate there. So maybe something like Kumans combined with... Ooh. I could see Kumans and Turks, truthfully, for the next civilizations.
Turks is a very underrated pick for that map. That extra pierce armor is really helpful for the cavalry. They probably expect Heresy to go for Huns in that pocket for Cape of Storms. What else do they have? Not so much. Yeah, I can see Turks being useful there. Maybe Indians is the alternative.
Yep, Indians could work. And on the bright side, there's civs that kind of have struggled in some other situations and other maps. So, but it's hard to speculate when there's 25 civs that haven't been played yet based on the draft. So we'll see. We'll find out soon enough as game 2 is going to start off. I kind of felt like game 1 was a little lackluster compared to what I was expecting here.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more, but, well, off to a slow start. Let's see what Heresy can do against AM in the second one.
Okay, so Lita, what was your favorite game so far today? I know it's hard to remember them all, but we had a lot of good games today. I wanted to ask you that.
I would probably say either the Vietnam Strategy B, so Bad Boy and Song Song versus AM, first game, Arabia, or the Gold Rush game from the Heresy versus Suomi set.
Yep. Yeah, those were my top 2 as well, in that exact order. I think game 1 from semifinal number 2 was insane. And then I also think that I think the most important game was probably game 7 between Suomi and Heresy. Not only was the game incredible, but everything was on the line. But yeah, we had some good ones.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the amazing thing in the Suomi versus Heresy final game was how close that castle came for. I think it was Dogao dropping that. And
yeah,
how much it influenced the game after. It was just a nail biter, especially in the final game of a very much back and forth set.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we'll see what happens in this next game. We are assuming an awful lot, and I think it would be unfair to viewers' brains at this point and unfair to us to try and say what would happen on every single home map for Heresy. They're 3 very different maps. So I guess as we haven't heard word yet for the next game, did you have a favorite map that you've seen so far in this tournament?
It's hard to say. In theory, we have a game. Let's hope that D complies.
Okay. Are you still getting updates from Lord Patito on that?
Yes.
Okay.
And in theory, we have a game, but D says it's not spectatable. It shows up on AoE2.net, which means that it is set for spectatable. Makes me wonder if it's a bugged villager restart or something like that.
Okay, cool. I'm just awaiting updates. I just wanted to ask you, my favorite map in the tournament, to answer the question that I asked you because I'm boring. I'll just answer the question myself. Has probably been okay. I think Rockslide has been a refreshing map. I was expecting Rockslide to be worse. I did not like Rockslide in 1v1s. I still really don't. It's a little bit one dimensional, but I felt it's many dimensional, I guess, in 2v2. So that's been a refreshing change. And then I guess it's kind of hard for me to pick a second favorite map. I think Hidden Treasures was pretty cool though. It's a shame we're not going to have that for the finals.
Yeah, that was very rarely played. It looks like it was a little too passive
Yeah.
for the players.
Yeah, definitely not something that you would want Hera and Leary to play on if you're rooting for them. Hera Leary banned that one, so kind of expected. They're very fast players. It's more of a slower map. I was a little surprised to see Heresy ban Riverbelt, but I don't think there's that many maps in the tournament, so they kind of had to ban one in the first place. So, anyways, to everyone who absolutely loves live games, this is
Yeah, this is
this is woo.
this is why we do Rex.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, so I'm sure you're probably hearing back from your admin, but it's just not the easiest to really know when they get into the game, you know. So I'm working on my end, Lita. I do not see anything.
Yeah, we are trying to figure out why DE is not willing to cooperate.
Okay. Yeah, I see you posted it. You said in theory. It says failed to start observing match. This match is not observable. Okay, so based on that, they started the game and it for some reason didn't allow spectators.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think they have
awkward
to. Yeah.
because it shows up on AoE2.net, and if it has spectators disabled, it shouldn't show up, I believe.
Yeah. Thanks to E. But you know what we can do? We can act like we're watching the game right now. Oh my god, Leadcore, did you see the scouts on the berries from Leary?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's crazy. And 3 villagers are down. Leary's clearly tilted. What do you think about Hera's counterattack?
Well, I wish I would see more of that.
You just I apologize for putting you into such an awkward position. You were just like, do I really have to do this right now? You can just tell me no. You don't have to go along with it. I'm sorry. I'm just really, really awkward.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm with you on that. At this point, I'm used to it. You know, 2 years after the game came out, I'm used to it, man. This is my sweet spot. But hopefully we'll get in. Hopefully we'll be able to see the villagers on Leary's berries. Should be soon.
I certainly hope so.
If you want, because I think you're probably coordinating to try and figure out what's going on. Because you're kind of like, yeah, you're kind of like distracted right now. I can just do a little ramble about upcoming games here. So I was looking at the draft, and I think I mentioned this before, but just to expand a little bit more on this, I still am really surprised to see Kumans at this pick. Like, this is such an interesting timing on Kumans. I get maybe picking Kumans around where Kimura is or something. But the fact that Hera and Leary, of all players, prioritize Kuman so high is a surprise to me. I'm also a little bit confused on what we're going to see on the map Forest Pond for Heresy. Typically, you see civilizations like Koreans and Spanish combined with maybe Persians, combined with maybe Italians, Byzantines. What would they do against castle drops? As I look at these civilizations here, oh god, Koreans is staring me right in the face. Never mind. Okay. Okay, they'll probably go Koreans and Persians. Maybe Koreans and Malians would be an option there. So it's not too bad. Yeah, I called them Harry. That's what you get when you combine Hera and Leary. You get Harry. You combine. I called the Heresy team Degel earlier, or maybe it was Mogao. I forget, but mistakes were made. So I guess the concerning thing here is, everybody, is if they started the game it is possible they're so focused they're not responding to Steam messages. Players probably do not have Steam notifications on.
They
So
actually
when they're
do. We have been talking to them.
Oh, they
So,
do? Okay.
yeah, probably like basically what's going to happen is that they were pretty deep in the game, in fact, because it's Cape of Storms, it is very fast paced,
Okay.
and they said that likely the game is over in a couple of minutes.
Wait, hold on. Who said that? Did
I'm not
Hera
going
or
to
Leary
say
say
that.
that?
I'm not going to say that because that's a bit of a spoiler.
That is 100% Aftermath saying that. Just saying. Anyways, go ahead, continue.
So, since there is no guarantees that even save and restore would actually fix things, what we're gonna
Okay.
do is just pretty much wait it out until they finish the game and have the rec sent to us.
Okay.
So we can sort of cast it from rec. The magics of live games, right?
Okay, now imagine this. 5 minutes ago, I made up a fake scenario where Leary got hit on his berries and then Hera counterattacked immediately after. What if that fake scenario actually happens in the game? There's a chance. I mean, I'm more excited for this than I am the rest of the games, to be honest. Because Leary's going to be on the front, Hera's going to be behind. Leary's going to get hit because he's too aggressive. And then Hera's like, okay, I'll counter. It's perfect. It'll be perfect. Yeah, I didn't give any specifics on who he would counterattack. But yeah, that's probably a good solution here. And then we don't have to like speed through what is already a very fast game mode, right?
Exactly. At this point, if we just join up, especially on this map, which is super aggressive, if we do a save and restore and just continue spectating from where they left off, we sort of miss half of the game. So probably the best solution after, just having the game functioning as intended.
Someone said, if I get it right, then we burn you as a witch for knowing the future. Oh, that's funny. Well, we'll roll with it. We'll figure it out. And then for game 3, we'll start off. It's like we've had a pretty long spec delay with a couple crappier jokes, This is still standard stuff.
Yeah,
It'll be fine.
It's the suspense.
Yeah, occasionally, and I don't know, but so the way it works when you're trying to do tournaments on DE, right, is you create a game room every single time. So you do not have static lobbies. So you can't just host a lobby and say, all right, get the players in here. And then when the game finishes, go back to the same lobby with the same settings and everything's set up. For some reason, 2 years after the game's come out, we're still regressed and we don't have static lobbies. So unfortunately, what happens is the players have to recreate a game room, and sometimes the settings don't stay the same. Like they will assume it will, because sometimes it does, and they probably didn't select spectating or something weird like that. And I could see when you're trying to focus on playing the games, all the civs, all the other things, it's hard to remember that. So,
indeed, especially because you don't assume that boom, the options just change, and you also have 2 panels that you have to use to set it up. So before you host the lobby, you have to select the server, and you have to select if you want spectators or not. And this is just assuming that the game works as intended, because there's a chance that they did everything right and things just went haywire.
Sure. Yeah, so basically, guys, game is happening, and we tried to have them save so we could restore and
we
pick
have
up
the
from where they are.
So
yeah. The game's over already. Okay, so we know it's not an hour-long game, at least.
Exactly.
Ooh, spoilers.
We were actually lucky that this happened on Cape of Storms, not something like Forest Spawn, and we are sitting here for 5 hours.
Yeah, thank God for that. I'll be thankful for that, I guess. Forest Pond has given us some really long games. So yeah, we'll load up soon. And what I can't wait for is when we see where they paused. Because at that point, it's going to reveal to me which team said, this game is going to be over soon. Oh, God. I feel bad for the players to have to pause in the middle, but what you going to do, right?
Yeah. In fact, actually, we're very lucky. And shout out to the players for reading their notifications while they're in the game. That's not something that's obvious.
True.
I wouldn't blame them for just completely muting all notifications.
Yeah, I would. No offense, but I would have ignored you and been focused. So,
but you're not in the tournament finals, though. That's the difference.
Okay, listen. I mean, technically, we are both playing a massive part in not only the finals, but every other stage. Like Leary and Hera can't say that they took massive parts in the group stage. Not every group stage. We did it, Lita. We made it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm ready when you are, so I'm
Okay,
paused
cool.
at 2.
Yeah, you're paused at 2 seconds. Cool. Let me just get to the same spot. We'll act like this is live. Everything will be good. We haven't seen the game, of course, so we'll roll with it. Just bear with me. And can you go to 5 seconds actually with capture rate? I think it'll make it a little
Sure.
easier.
I'm
Okay.
at 5.
Okay. On your count, we'll hop in and do game number 2.
All right, let's do 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right. So another Celts pick for Leary on the front. That didn't work out too well for him in the semifinals. No surprise that Hera is behind him, and he's playing as the Burmese. Again, a little bit of a shocker with the Civs. Dogao on the front with Incas. We've seen that virtually every game in the quarters and semis for him on this map. Miguel with Mongols, Lita. Apparently, we're going to see a lot of death early.
And he's going for the hunt, so that's now the second best thing you can probably do after hunts on this map. Just go full hunt. I think the Finns even had their cavalry player going for the hunt of the archer player as well, just for maximum efficiency. But as we discussed, indeed, scouts are nice and it helps to pump out archers that you have the lumberjacking bonus, but they're not particularly amazing as an archer civilization compared to Mayans, especially if this game happens to go into Imperial. We have seen instances of that as well.
Yeah, Leary, I mean, he can't have a worse performance on this map with Celts compared to the semis. I was really shocked to see that, so that's a positive. And this is where you start to see all those armies in the middle, and this can snowball really quick. Losing one scout, losing one archer can mean you're down 1, then down 2, then down 3. Game does not tend to go on for very long, and early aggression from Miguel and Dogao.
Indeed, here they come. Hera is investing a little bit into his fishing eco, but that also means that he's not getting the upgrades just yet. Dogao already has +1 defense coming in for him.
All right. Well, so far so good for Brazil in terms of the pressure, but they do not have the military numbers yet. I mean, it's just a difference here or there. Now it's tied, kind of hard to tell. But I do like the fishing approach from Hera. I think him being a little bit faster to that is going to make a difference in about 1 or 2 minutes.
True. We will have a dock as well from Miguel eventually. For now, Miguel is more than happy to take his hunt with the Mongols. Sure. And as you said, this can snowball really fast. So even these small micro wars that we're seeing right now could eventually be extremely important.
Yeah, these colors are confusing me. They flip-flop the colors on both sides, but it's not looking too good right now for Aftermath. Good pressure here and good micro from Dogao and Miguel.
Indeed, very, very good damage in this one, and Leary is forced to make a defensive tower on his gold mine. As you said, he currently has no archers out here.
Okay, so this is probably where we started to contact them, saying, hey, can we please see what's going on with your game? Leary has, again, just not played Celts well here or had any success with them, at least.
So far, it is a slight villager lead for Miguel and Dogao, but Dogao is already on triple ranges, whereas Leary is only on 2, so this will just make even harder for Leary to come back into this one and sort of even out the archer numbers.
Also, the scout numbers looking better for Miguel. I do see Hera going for the counterattack. I was wrong on the berries with my earlier prediction, which is pretty sad, but Hera's counterattack could be of some value. He gets an eagle kill. He's also going to attack the scouts there, so some good ways to maybe even out the numbers.
Hera doesn't have bloodlines though, so this fight is not great. Okay, there is the discussion.
All right, sounds good. I like how Dogao and Miguel didn't say to them that they thought they were going to win this pretty easily, but clearly they said to the admins, hey, we're going to finish this off easily. So let's see if they can actually do that. An army of skirms in a team game is just so bad. Leary's going to lose all of these things to the scouts.
And even the spearmen won't help that much because those scouts are going to be fully upgraded in a moment. And that's a lot of resources down the drain as well for Leary.
Right. Yeah, down go the skirmishers. maybe a good example to viewers at home as to why you don't ever want to fall into that type of a position in a team game. And looks like Hera has some stuff to deal with at his base, lost a villager or two, but does have a lot of scouts there. He just has to send them forward.
Indeed, he needs to. 10 scouts versus 10 scouts. Castle Age on the way though for Dogao, and Leary is not even remotely close. So if Dogao keeps those archers alive, then I think this will snowball out of control for Heresy.
Listen, Leary is incredible when it comes to that archer role, but from what I've seen on this map in the semis and the finals, this is definitely not a map that he prefers. I mean, that early pressure that he tends to be so good at has actually been what's been hurting him when he plays on this map. And Hera now realizing the situation, knowing they have to dive, trying to get in close enough, but great teamwork from Miguel and Dogals. Miguel's always providing that little bit of a buffer.
And there's the hunt as well for Miguel, taking his teammates' hunt, just sustaining that Mongol eco bonus as long as possible. Hera tries to dive in. Oh, that's gonna be close.
What's happening here?
Look at that trap. That's a perfect trap.
Well, I think Hera can run away, right?
Yeah. It was so close.
Yeah, there was still that gap there. Good luck trying to trap someone in this weird maze of trees. I mean, Leary is now on Dogal's gold. They've certainly made it awkward here. Miguel and Dogal, they're going to obviously push when Dogal's up, but they're going to have to track that down.
And crossbows are heading straight towards Hera's base, though. That's what could snowball this one very easily, because Leary is mostly skirms, so really the main target should be Hera, but there's a lot of scouts coming in here, and Dogal's gonna lose a lot here.
Yeah, he's also off of gold, so now he cannot make archers. He can't get ballistics. There's a lot he can't do. Miguel will help with that, but Hera now taking losses, and yeah, unfortunately, kind of looks like he's Khmer, so people might get excited, like, hey, hop inside the houses. Can't do that. GG, was a fast game. Hera Leary really not doing too well in Cape of Storms lately, and we have a 1-1.
Yeah, we do. It's very interesting because this used to be one of their favorite maps to play in the entire, not just previously in the tournament, but also previous tournaments as well, like Tupos. This map was actually in Emperor Wars Duel 1 as well, and this was always their first pick because it's so open, so aggressive that you would think it fits their style perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's maybe a question we could ask after the tournament. Why do Hera and Leary seem to not do too well in this anymore compared to other teams? But again, we still haven't seen the real powerhouse civilizations for Aftermath. Game 1 was Poles and Portuguese. Game 2 was Celts and Burmese. So they didn't prioritize it with strong civ picks. I think Heresy will be mindful of that. Of course, they'll take the victory, but it's all tied up. And now we'll see an Aftermath home map with probably some strong civs. And it's live.
Indeed, it's gonna be live, so we have to pray to the AoE gods for this one to work, but let's hope everything works as intended now. So we're going to one of the home maps for Aftermath over here, Golden Pit, Kawasan, or Atacama. How do you feel? Which map should AM choose here?
I mean, have they lost a game on Atacama yet? I don't think so. I think Atacama probably suits them a little more than it would Heresy. Kawasan, I think Dogal's been insane there. I also think Golden Pit, Heresy's been very strong. So yeah, it's not as if Heresy sucks on Atacama, but if I were, the coach of Aftermath and they asked me and I declined, I would say go Atacama.
Yeah, I can see that. That feels like their most confident map right now, especially because Kawasan, that didn't feel that super strong for Hera and Leary, if you remember. They played this against Bad Boy and Song Song, and they ended up winning, but it wasn't that convincing as compared to, let's say, Atacama.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to look at the civs now, so we'll cross off the civs that were used. Again, you look at where the civilizations were picked for Hera and Leary. I mean, there's no real... They're not going to lose any sleep over their final picks being losses there, especially considering the score is 1-1. But on that map, we could see Cumans again. I remember Hera picked Cumans in the previous set. Cumans, maybe Vietnamese. I'd really like that. Cumans, Vietnamese, maybe even like Indians and Vietnamese, Indians, Tatars. Could be strong.
Yes, we have a game, so 1 minute spec delay remaining, and we're going to Golden Pit, so...
Okay.
it looks like we're just gonna play a very standard and old school map here, but I think that evens things out a little bit because both teams have been around for a long, long time. Golden Pit has been in tournaments ever since I have started casting, and probably it was in tournaments long before.
Not really, actually. Like, I feel like the first time I remember in the 6 years I've been casting, Golden Pit entering 1v1 tournaments was one of the NACs. And then I know Nilly's always really like that. And then I know we included it in the 2v2 World Cup, which was like a year and a half ago, but I think it is fairly recent. Obviously, Empire Wars is super recent. And, it is a little different in Empire Wars, but we see the civs will be in 10 seconds. I think it's much better in 2v2s, Lita, than in 1v1s. I prefer Gold Rush for 1v1s.
Yeah, especially because I think the bigger the team game is, Golden Pit becomes more and more fair, because on Gold Rush, you sort of have to control that little hill, and it's always just one player controlling it. On a Golden Pit, it's possible for two teams to have a simultaneous control over the middle, and both of them having access to gold.
Yeah, it does depend on the version. Golden Pit, also you have that element of taking the middle doesn't give you a hill advantage, which is really cool too. So we do have some of the civs we mentioned. Tatars and Burgundians, really strong civ matchup. I like that for Leary and Hera. And then we have Saracens and Berbers. Oh man, I love Saracens and Berbers for Heresy.
Yeah, that is a very nice combination. Berbers, by far the most popular and probably the best cavalry civilization for this map. Burgundians is sort of the budget Berbers here, because you won't have the cheap cavalry, but you will have slightly better cavalry in exchange. So that's something that could potentially match up against the Berbers. But then there's Saracens, which it all comes down to how you use them. Because in the long run, Tatars will be way better, especially for Leary. But Saracens, if you use your power spikes really well, maybe hit an early castle age, that could be very devastating, especially with the building attack bonus.
Yep, and if you ever gain control with that building attack bonus, the enemy can say goodbye to quite a few of their military buildings, right? Good job from Miguel. Excuse me, he's just walling up. Hera is going to kill a scout there, though. And we actually have the rare occurrence of the scout players being on the same side as each other and the archer players being on the same side. So very rarely are you going to see that archer spear forward when you're up against the other archer player from Leary.
Indeed, there's a spearman coming in from Hera, though. That can swing the battle in his favor, and the walls for Miguel are not complete by far. The same thing happened against Bad Boy and Song Song for Hera and Leary. They just got the chance to run inside and do some damage to, I think, Bad Boy at that time.
Yeah, it was either way. It was a really, really tough situation for them. And good early aggression from Hera. Notice he can't really justify or afford to get the Castle Age Wood upgrade yet. I think that that's something you'd see in RM. But in Empire Wars, it's all about saving the resources. And really good job from Miguel to defend there. Didn't lose a Vil. Was able to get the walls down. You have the exact same for the archer players. And you actually do have some movement with Dogal sending 3 archers forward.
Yeah, Dogal will just bump into walls here, though. Leary is going to have all the walls up. And Leary is actually making a mining camp on the second gold mine. That's a little bit awkward in the long run.
Not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, in the long run, it's completely fine. It's just a little bit surprising that he's already starting to take his second gold.
Mm-hmm. And just a sign of things to come, possibly, as Dogal clicks up at the same time as Leary. Now, what's interesting about this to me, Lita, is I think only Tatars can compete with this Castle Age uptime because of the sheep bonus. If you didn't have the additional food on the sheep with Tatars in these settings, you would have to wait for the farms to kick in. You would have to farm a lot more. So Leary's uptime being similar to the Saracen player when the Saracen player had to use the market is pretty sick. And we're going to see some amazing fights between these two.
Dogal will go for a super aggressive Castle Age. He's mining stone, which means he will use the market very heavily. Maybe even go 4 ranges. He might be able to do that with the market usage here. But he will need something against the thumb ring of his opponent.
I think... Well, he's going to think that he's faster to Castle Age. And then when he realizes he's not faster to Castle Age, then he's probably going to try and rush thumb ring. But it is really an expensive upgrade, especially when you need ballistic. So I think this is just going to give Leary the confidence he needs. Hera did produce a few more scouts, I think. than Miguel. But Miguel is going to be up at a similar time. And Miguel is the cheaper knights, but Hera does get Cavalier available in Castle Age.
He does. It takes some time for him to research, so early numbers will be in the favor of Miguel. The interesting thing with Tatars here on this map is that oftentimes you see cavalry players just going full knights in castle, and then the archer player hitting imp with arbalest.
There's a hole. There's a hole. There's a hole next to the wood line, and that is inexcusable for a final. Oh, Dogao.
Oh, that
Jeez,
is just
man.
That's just a disaster, and that's just when Leroy reaches Castle Age, so even though he doesn't have Crossbowman, he already has Stumbling, and... Oh, that's a disaster. He has to call off his entire attack. He's off from gold. Oh my goodness, that might even be a game-losing move there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to come back to deal with this, which means you have no momentum whatsoever. You're automatically behind due to Thumbring. You're now behind an eco. I mean, it also would tilt you massively. I would be really frustrated. And then you have to tell your teammate, Miguel, like, hey, buddy, it's not looking good over here. This is just going to be tough to come back from. Leary and Hera typically are not players who are going to allow you to come back from such positions.
Indeed. As still the eco inefficiency shows, like, he's going to have a tough time getting wood. He's lost 6 villagers. And now there's Leary, who has been untouched the whole time.
Yep.
I think Dogao is kind of lucky here that Leary went for TC first and only University after, so neither of the players have ballistics just yet.
Well, I mean, he's lucky for now. He'll survive longer, but he'll be dead even more later on. Like, he'll be deader, if that's a word. I know it's not, but Leary's still making use of Thumbring, still winning the fight. The hole's still there. Hera just shows up with scouts. I mean, that means with 35 vills versus 42, there's going to be a 15 or 20 vill lead for Leary in the near future. Good luck, Dogao, I think. I mean, you fight on here. Hope Miguel can do something, but it's kind of over, man.
Yeah, especially because both of the AM players are voted, so those knights won't be able to do that much. And I love how Hera is just sending in his scouts here. It's not like it's a massive combat force, but if you can get 1 or 2 villager kills for their price, then that's great value.
Yep. Yeah, 2 TCs is a little surprising from Leary, but I think because of his position, he's able to be greedy like that. Also, he clearly didn't need ballistics. He's done very well without ballistics. Maybe he just figured that the enemy wouldn't have ballistics, so he says, you know, I can finally micro a little bit more. Yeah, no wood now for Dogao. This is rough.
Yeah, Leary already has crossbows behind that wood line over there, and I mean, the initial group of crossbows that went into the base of Dogao is still there, and I already see Miguel's name crossed out.
Yep. Wow, GG. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Dogao was level with Leary at that point. He had similar uptime. He even had similar numbers. He was actually very close to those archers, but he assumed I'm walled, so I can leave. He wasn't walled, and one single tile that leads to the GG. Again, that's going to hurt, right? You have Berbers, which we both think is the best knight civilization available for them. You now lose with Berbers. Plus, there's that your mentality might be shaken up a little bit after that loss. Heresy fighting a lot of uphill battles, despite it only being a 2-1 situation right now.
Indeed, it's not easy for them right now. On the positive side of things, it might be easier mentally to handle this type of a defeat compared to, let's say, playing a 2.5 hours long game, which you end up losing. You might say, okay, it was a mistake, let's go on. Obviously, it's a way too easy loss for a best of 7 grand finals, and this might bite them back.
Yep, we'll see. You know, Hera and Leary, we won't get to see their home maps. They're going to have to respond on one of the home maps for Heresy. They have Forest Pond and Rockslide. That will be one of the upcoming maps. Just feels to me like Aftermath, they've got good civs saved up. They've got momentum. They seem to be making all the proper decisions. They're probably feeling really comfortable with their position right now.
Indeed. It looks like we're playing a Rockslide next, so Heresy goes for a slower paced one. Melee is an intriguing option over here, although it was somewhat unpopular. I remember against the quarterfinal opponents of Heresy, they played Aztecs here. And that failed. That was against Doubt and Slam, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. It was against Tatars and Cumans. But We won't see Tatars and Kumans this time because Hera just used, or Leary just used Tatars. Okay. So shall we speculate? I'll cross off the civs here. Is there anything that jumps out at you that we might see in terms of civs for Aftermath and Heresy?
As I said, I kind of feel like Malay is a very intriguing option over here.
Sure.
You can maybe think about something like Slavs, because this game has the potential to go very late, and Slavs could be nice. Mali is an interesting option because you could afford a dock and a stable or so.
Mm-hmm.
And Maligans would be a pretty nice combination with Malay. On the other side, Aftermath had Portuguese used on Arabia, which could have been an amazing civ here for archers and even caravels. So, Kumans is a legit idea, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that the other place where I could imagine Kumans being used is Atacama. So,
okay, yeah.
Either here or Atacama. And then... Kumans could be your archer civ as one that maybe play Indians. Byzantines could be an interesting option. Then you play Kuman Cavalry and Byzantine archers. But I think they're saving Byzantines for Forest Pond.
I like Italians. Yeah, I like Italians. Because Byzantines, like you said, probably fit Forest Pond. So maybe pick Italians, go archers, go water. Can kind of do either. Only question is what Cav civ you might see. I mean, Hera might go for Turks. I do like Kumans, but it's weird to me that Hera would try and go for the second TC like Doubt has done before. And also to have Kumans picked second when it's not one of your home maps. I don't know. It's a little tricky.
Yeah,
but,
I feel like...
lots of speculation.
I feel like they have something of an idea for the Kumans here. So something other than just saying, okay, this is going to be a cavalry civ for one of the maps. I feel like they have a pretty special plan for it. Otherwise, that wouldn't justify picking it second overall in your draft.
Yep, you'd think so. You'd think so.
I hope so.
But it also isn't a very Hera thing to just boom on 2 TCs. And Leary's not going to do it. So I think that... So you probably are part of the same group, but basically when the balance was announced and it was going to happen, there's a group where high-level players and some casters and whatnot can give input to try and, shift things in the right direction, not saying the devs always listen. And the Kuman change had a lot of high-level players be like, really? Like, did you really need to give them cheaper stables and cheaper archer ranges that's going to be really strong on top of their other bonuses? So I think the mindset's at least there that Kumans can be really strong just with that.
Game is up, by the way, so...
Okay.
In case you missed that. You probably want to fast forward a couple of seconds here, because we're already in. I just didn't want to interrupt you, but yes.
Oh, my bad. Yep.
Indeed,
we'll be in.
The discount
we got Kumans.
Is pretty massive for Kumans over here, and indeed, it's debatable if it's too much of a bonus, because it makes them a really intriguing Empire War civ. Hera with Kumans in blue. We will have Leary as Mayans in green. To the north is Miguel as Sicilians in red. And Huns for the in yellow. How do you feel about Sicilians and Huns here?
I don't think Sicilians are necessarily ideal. I don't think Huns are necessarily ideal, especially if you lose a villager to Hera Scouts and Hera. Wow, great work there. Starts off the game with a Vil pick. Yeah, I mean, like we've said with the draft, right? You're going to have some civs that are lower on the totem pole. I really liked what we saw from Sicilians and Huns earlier in this tournament. Just probably a pick that's not necessarily ideal. And oh man, again, Hera is just all over Dogao right now.
Indeed, he is. Those scouts opening is going to be tough to hand off for Dogao. I kind of feel like part of this Huns pick here for Dogao is a bit of a copy-paste from what we have seen from Slam. Slam went CA with Tatars here, and probably Dogao thought, okay, Huns might be a good idea. Sicilians is interesting on this map because oftentimes you make defensive towers on your golds, but you can only do defensive dungeons for Miguel.
Yeah. Yeah, I for that reason alone, I really don't like Sicilians here. Like, that's very expensive. And I'm wondering what the opening is going to be. It feels like Miguel doesn't know what to do. You've got Eagles and Archers. Archers hitting his berries. Eagles roaming around. And even Hera's looping over to help out right now. So, I mean, Hera's already added stable number 2. This is what I said. He was one of the players that was like, do you really want to make stables that cheap? He's on double stable scouts already.
Yeah, I feel like the question with double stable scouts is not whether or not you can afford double stables themselves. It's about, can you afford production? It looks like Hera can. And he's even grabbing bloodlines and +1 defense, so they really are motivated to do some feudal damage here. Whereas for Miguel, he probably just wants to go into Castle Age at this rate.
Kinda looks like it. He does still have access to golds. He doesn't have as many as he'd probably want on gold. But yeah, so Miguel's not really doing too much on the offensive front. This always will swing over to another player. But Dogal does have 3 spearmen. So with the tower, with 3 spearmen, maybe he's going to end up being able to defend from Hera. Maybe we then see Heresy faster to the Castle Age, and maybe a little bit of pushback if Hera's investment isn't worth it.
Yeah, right now, that's quite a lot of scouts here, and those are going to deny the gold, partially for Dogal, which makes it harder for the Cav Archer switch to happen for Dogal. Dogal only went for 1 Archer, and he'll probably play triple range Cav Archers right at the beginning.
I love how much vision Hera has over all of this, but he is going forever feudal at this point. He doesn't have a second TC. He's just going scouts. He's killed 1 villager. Now, here's Leary. Leary's here to help, but Dogal doesn't seem hugely concerned by this just yet. He's still on gold. He's going for the 3rd range leader, so he might be thinking about Cav Archers.
He probably is, but Hera's got a concerning amount of scouts now in, and I mean, they would just run past TC, especially if you use that group that Hera has 9 scouts just chilling. I think he may have forgotten about that, but does it matter? 3 scouts inside, and those will already do the work.
Yep. I mean, certainly doing some damage here. I still think it is going to be important that the other group does some damage. A few villagers picked here feels good, but Dogal will have minutes over Hera in the Castle Age, which could lead to Cav Archers and a great counter. So this is the moment. Will Hera be able to kill with these scouts? I think he's got enough.
He's got enough. There is a defensive tower, though, and with the quick walls and the tower, this should be enough for Dogal to hold.
He could sit those 3 archers underneath the tower, and it will range every single vill there.
Oh, that's true, because Dogal didn't get us in the tower in time to kill the archers. Now it's a problem. Dogal is up to Castle Age. With some good CA micro, he should be good to go, and he's very happy that Huns have cheaper Cav Archers because he already lost 5 vills here.
Wow. I mean, he'll be completely off of gold. He won't have Cav Archers then. He's down to 32 villagers. Miguel can't really help.
And Leary has really crossbow, so he will kill every single villager there.
Wow.
And 3 Cav Archers won't crack it because Hera's got a million scouts here.
If you run, you die. You basically choose how you want to die at this point. Choose your way of death. You want to die to archers, you want to die to scouts. And it's a mixed bag for Dogal right now. What a strategy from Hera and Leary. And we're seeing now why Cumans were prioritized so much. Leary's over here with more crossbows. And poor Miguel hasn't really been able to do much. I mean, he's losing his knights to scouts right now.
Yeah, the scouts have +1/+1. The knights only have +1 defense. But as I said, I kind of felt like AM has something more for Cumans. And now Hera will just run past the TC, and that probably be his game over, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on if he can wall it.
The gate is too weak.
Rip.
It got nerfed a couple of patches ago, and Hera's gonna be more than happy to just slaughter 15 vills and be done with it.
And you can't house wall either. That sucks so much. If you had to sit with houses, you could probably save those villagers. But it's just too much work to do with just palisades. Oh, man. I mean, this isn't just a win. This is a slaughter right now. You cannot field many Cav Archers. Hera's a minute and a half away from Castle Age with 50 vills, 25 for Dogal. It looks humiliating right now for Heresy.
Yeah, Heresy's getting absolutely shredded, and this is why that previous game hurt so much, because, okay, let's say that they got outplayed by this strategy, cheap mine archers plus the scouts of Hera, but previous game was just such an easy win for AMB, and they would move on to match point with this.
And game 1. Like, if this game happens after winning game 1, which I think they were leading in, it's fine. The score ends up being 2-2. But losing game 1 is such a massive blow that I don't know after losing this, they can come back from it, even based on just the civs, right? Like, you're going to be playing with worse civilizations against a team who has 3 wins against 1. Assuming, we're assuming an awful lot. Maybe Miguel's going to carry right now. But 30 Vil lead for Aftermath. Hera's going to be able to make his own military soon. And I think he just needs some knights. You don't even need to worry too much. Dogal has 18 villagers.
And those Cav Archers have very little upgrades. No husbandry, which hurts really badly against Kumans that will have the faster cavalry by default. And since it's cavalries and knights and we don't have a lot of CA, camos might also work for Hera. And Leary, I think, is just thinking about imp at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Leary's just like, how's it going over there, buddy? And Hera's like, pretty good. I got my guy down to 20 villagers. And Leary's like, really? Only 20 villagers? I expected you to get him down to 10, you know? Like, Leary, he has had some work to do. No, don't get me wrong. But I think it seems maintainable. I think he'll probably make a few monks soon, get some conversions. Hera is in Castle Age now, and as we expected, able to defend himself.
He is. He does have +1/+1 on the knights. Same thing for Miguel. But at this point, Leary could do whatever they want, and they would still win the game.
Hera could have stayed on scouts there. He honestly didn't need to go Castle Age. He could have stayed on scouts, added the second TC, and stayed in Feudal Age the rest of the game. I think that would have been slightly BM. I don't know. Many people might argue it wouldn't be because it would actually work well. But I think the strategy from Hera and Leary's just been sounder today. But certainly the execution from Dogao the last two games just hasn't been there compared to what we saw from him in the quarterfinals and the semifinals.
Yeah, we have to add that Dogao and Miguel had to play a really exhausting semifinal against Suomi, and sure enough, Hera and Leary also had to play a pretty long one against ACCM, or not ACCM, what am I talking about? Bad Boy and Song Song. Just for clarification, the two sets were played at the same time, so about the same amount of break was available for the two teams, but I think Miguel's set was, or Harris's set was a lot more exhausting, a lot more of a nail-biter, whereas probably Hera and Leary could ease down on their try-hard approach a little bit for, let's say, the final game of that set when they were up 3-2, so they didn't have to stress about it as much as Heresy had to.
I don't see it being exhaustion too much. I just see it being all the factors kind of pointing that Heresy's going to struggle now. I mean, look at the draft. The draft is just as depressing as a draft can get for a final. Look at where the losses and the victories were. Yeah. Every single top line is a defeat. So now you're down 3-1 against a team who's probably favored against you. And then you don't even have your good civs to fall back. And then you have, okay, so Kumans and Mayans were picked there for Hera Leary. But still, like, that draft set tells the whole story here. It is not only difficult to come back from being 3-1 down, but it's also difficult with that type of a stack. We'll see, though. We'll see. I think it's so easy for us, Lita, because we've seen Hera and Leary dominate in these settings to just assume that they're going to finish this off now. But maybe that's part of our jobs, or maybe we're going too far with it, you know? We'll find out soon enough, but Hera and Leary do have to earn one more victory.
They do. And it's going to be Forest Pond, which is not necessarily one of their stronger maps. I wonder if we are going to see Turks and Byzantines the same way as we saw it for the semifinals for Aftermath. Because on the other side, I think it's probably Persians, Koreans. That could be the same Civ matchup that Bad Boy and Song Song used against Hera and Leary.
If this goes to Game 7, there's always one Civ that hasn't been played from each draft, correct?
Exactly.
1, 2, 3,
so you have one extra civilization.
So if we see Turks and Byzantines, which I agree would be strong, then we probably don't see Spanish. So I think, like, Spanish at all, if the series continues. So I guess it just depends on Hera's style, because Hera would probably play the Turks or Spanish player, and I don't know, dude. They both get Hussar. They both get Hussar. I kind of feel like Hera might prefer Turks over Spanish. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling. That Spanish is the natural Civ pick here. Turks is the, okay, I'm Hera and I can do Turks because I love Hussars.
Sure, yeah. Well, Hera's not the type of player to make a castle and go unique unit too much. Like, he likes stable units, right? So I think that for that reason, maybe he's not going to value Spanish as high because he's not going to make the Conquistador. But then again, Turks don't get Paladin, and you might really want Paladin. So I think it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's more about just the Spanish trade at the end. But yeah, Hera actually used the Turks very nicely, and one of the things that makes it nice is that you have the light calves that can potentially contain an early War Wagon play as well.
Sure. Well, in a few minutes, Lita, we'll be able to start the next game. Sounds good to me.
Yes, it is.
All right, cool. I assume I'm muted on Lita's end. He just said BRB, so he'll be right back. And I will just further speculate on what will happen. I haven't seen the games actually launched yet. Yeah, Hera might not like Spanish too much in 1v1s, but I'm pretty sure Hera likes to win. So I think that he's going to make the decision that's best in this team game situation here. I've seen Hera have success in this map with Spanish and also Turk, so kind of hard to say. Song. Yo, what's up, Song? Great games earlier. Song, having a lot of faith in Aftermath here, everybody. I wonder why Song would have faith in Aftermath to win. Maybe a little bit of experience, right? But guys, I've had a really good time casting these games today. I am personally hoping to see some improvement from Heresy and just see them turn it around. Get one more victory and just take it one game at a time, right? No, we will not have.
All right. Let's see. We have a game, so let's go for game number 5, which could be a decider. I certainly would hope if this set would go longer than 5 games here, because so far, compared to the semifinals, we're getting a little bit of a lesser of a show, but it sometimes happens. I think we had that with Hidden Cup 3, maybe, where it was some insane semifinals, and then was it Viper versus Hera at that time that just ended up being a 40 minutes long 4-0?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I think it was the quarterfinal day of Hidden Cup 3 went for 13 hours. All the sets were crazy. And then the finals, it was a 4-0. So it happens. I mean, you're never going to have lights out games in every single set. I think Empire Wars tends to be a bit snowbally as well, so it can be tougher to come back mentally. From what I've heard, Lita, from Lord Patito, they apparently started Game 5 and it crashed, so we will have to wait a little bit longer.
Indeed, but we see the civilizations, Turks, Byzantines versus Persian, Koreans. We have seen this matchup already.
Yeah, this is the one map that seems a little predictable in terms of civs, so most likely we'll see similar approaches in that game. I'll await their restart, but maybe Koreans going forward with a castle. I think because it's predictable, that can actually be pretty good for Heresy. Because I think the Kumans thing probably came as a surprise last game, right? I'm not sure the approach can be countered. The approach that Lyria and Hera tend to take on this map always takes them to late Castle Age with a pretty solid position.
Yeah, I can see that. We also don't know what the initial approach of AM would have been in the semifinals they played on this map, because maybe Hera was also thinking about unique unit play, but there was already votes from the Vietnamese team immediately, so maybe he just had to change his plans. So I think there is some flexibility here for Hera, and even if he was planning light cav at that time, maybe he could go for the surprise castle drop. As you said, he is not really the one that does it, which means that this could be a perfect surprise against Miguel and Dogao, just like the Kuman's surprise in the previous game.
Okay, so before we do get into this game, when it eventually starts, who is going to be the hype man when we see fire ships attacking fire ships?
It's probably you. You are the hype man here.
Nah, come on. I was trying to pass it off to you. I hate fires v fires. Attack fire with fire. Then you just roll it back and you repair. Attack fire with fire. Then you just repair. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'll do the demos. You can do the fires.
No, I'll only do the Turkish cannon galleons with artillery against turtle ships.
Wait a second. You're telling me that artillery applies to Turkish cannon galleons?
I honestly have no idea.
Wait a second. I need an answer on this.
think it does, but now that you have asked, I am not so sure.
What?
Artillery. +2 range bombard towers, bombard cannons, cannon galleons. It does.
What?
And now that you mention it, Deathmatch World Cup 3, Nilly versus someone. Was it even a team game? They played Acropolis, and Nilly had Turkish cannon galleons with artillery on that little pond in Acropolis.
That's such a nilly thing to do. That is such a nilly thing to do. Well, wow, okay. Today I learned. I honestly didn't know that because you just rarely see that type of a thing. But Lita, you should have committed to your statement. You said it, I questioned it, and then you didn't believe in your statement. So now you look kind of just as dumb as me, maybe half. I'll take that.
Well, I get used to that. I get used to that. My brain is like a brick, so.
All right,
Well,
fair enough.
It is what it is. I didn't have my Tech Tree cheat sheet out on my other monitor. That's my excuse.
Yeah, you whipped out that description of artillery really fast.
Yeah,
So-
it's my second thing on my bookmarks bar. The
Really?
Tech Tree. Do you know what? Do you know what the first thing is?
I have no clue. What?
It's the how to turn it back to the old patch document.
All right, fair enough.
Once you messaged me for that, and I answered in like 3 seconds with the link.
Yep.
That's because of that. I was like, okay, let me open my browser, copy paste, boom.
You know what my lazy way of remembering important links are for streaming and like, you know, channel stuff, casting? I always pin it in the conversation I have with that person. So I'm pretty sure, like I've had many conversations with Dux and Robo, and I just pin it to our conversation, which is very unorganized. But I think when I asked you, I pinned it. Oh, I didn't. Damn it. Never mind. I'm wrong. But yeah, Lita, that's funny. Anyways, no updates on if they've started the game yet. Maybe someone's crash meant they have to restart.
Yep, they are about to launch, so...
Cool. Wonderful.
We are all good to go. So, how do we feel about this Turk-Byzantine versus Korean-Persian matchup? I think the biggest thing I dislike about Koreans on this map is they don't even have demo rafts. So, it's really hard to win that water battle early on without the help of your teammates.
Okay, it is a little weird to me to see Hera choose Turks just because Spanish was available and that trade can be really important. However, I'm struggling to see how you can threaten the strategy from Hera and Leary, as I said before. So, Koreans, I think, have a losing record, like a really bad losing record in this tournament. And I think for the most part, they've been chosen on Forest Pond. I can think of one exception where they won, and that was when Vivi castle dropped Doubt, and Doubt was like, what? And it was really confused. So, I don't know. I prefer the Civs for Hera and Leary, but it's also very easy to say that when Hera and Leary have dominated the finals so far.
Yeah, that's something I can agree with. I think Koreans were mostly used in River Belt because of the extra armor that they are getting, plus, of course, the discount. So, yeah, most of the times we actually saw Spanish here as the castle drop civ, but probably in the long run, Koreans works better because War Wagons just deliver much more power in the long run than Skunkistadors do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. The thing I don't like about this map is just the fact that you don't really have many options. You're kind of restricted in what you can do. So we'll probably see Leary open on water. We'll probably see Miguel open on water. And then it's almost always expected that Koreans are going to do something land related. And it's not like you can go for water because you don't get demos. I guess you could try. I don't know. We'll see. When we're in the game, we'll see the positions. And of course, scouting and all that stuff becomes very important. They cannot just assume.
We have a game, by the way, in case you haven't seen.
Yep, I see it. 5 seconds.
Indeed. Let's go. Hera and Leary are one game away from winning this one. They were the favorites of the tournament, but it would be a bit of a shock for me, especially after these semifinals, if Hera and Leary just steamroll Heresy like this.
It's a snowball effect, I think, from the game one victories. Like, you have no idea how much your mentality can shift if your whole game plan for your whole best of 7 falls apart because you lose that type of a game. because game number 2 is then affected because you don't have certain civs available. Game number 3 is affected, and then your mentality is affected. And yeah, so Leary's going to open with a dock here, Lita. Hera's going to open with a dock. But like I said before, I think Hera is ultimately just going to stick on land in the mid game.
Looks like we'll have villagers moving forward for Dogao. That's the same thing that they did before. Just go for stone walls. They kind of need to do that because Hera always has the chance for a castle drop with the Turks. Looks like he's just going to play standard fire galley. And Miguel on the other side is also playing fire galleys. Lear is going to do the exact same thing that he's been doing for the last couple of rounds when they played this. Move the villager in the middle and get the second dock up over there.
Yep. It's really smart, both for enemy patrols, because they'll patrol into that dock instead of the dock closer to home. But then if you fish, after winning water, you'll be in a better position. Kind of looks like Dogao bailed on the idea of going forward with the walls. Maybe he was a little worried that Hera might add scouts, because Hera did do that at some point in the semi-final.
He did.
But how do you think things shape up with Koreans against Turks on the left? Because again, I don't think we're going to see a lot of land pressure from them. I think in the mid game, sorry, I don't think we're going to see a lot of water pressure from them. I think it's going to be more about land in the mid game.
It's hard to say because it depends on what exactly Hera and Dogao have on their mind. They could just play pretty standard and slow, have Dogao go for even an Arbalest style approach. Or it could even be, as I said, castle from either player, especially the Korean player with the war wagons. Even if it's not a castle drop, it could be castle back at home and the war wagon push.
Sure. Okay. But we'll find out. I'm keeping an eye on resources. Everyone, while they're doing other things, kind of keeping Castle Age in the back of their mind. Do you see what Leary's doing right now? Look at that. They blocked the fire. They blocked the fire and Dogao couldn't get out of there. That was so well played from both Leary and Hera.
Yeah, and this is just once again favoring their strengths over here. Little micro scenarios. Those are the things that they love to do, and it's your turn to hype a demo.
Boom. Woo.
Amazing.
Amazing. You know what I can't wait for? I cannot wait for a villager to repair one of these ships. I'm just so thrilled. Oh, wait a second. Oh, Miguel's going to go. Oh, he sent it. Oh, we got a demo. Boom. Wow, great. And then they're going to go home and repair the micro. Oh, incredible.
Just casual water meta things. Castle Age is going to be in for both Leary and Hera a little bit faster than their counterparts. And there is your repair villager that you were so eagerly waiting for.
I kind of like what Miguel has going on with these dock locations, though. That demo's going to hurt, but okay, good micro. But I like how he has docks on either side. It's like, you shall not pass. And you could just stream demos into that choke point, at least until Castle Age. Then Castle Age is a little different.
And he's actually pretty late into Castle Age here. He pretty much had the food, but I don't think... Oh, he didn't have the building. That's why he's rushing up a market.
Didn't have the building. Yeah, I guess not. I guess not. I mean, he's doing okay on water, but the reason I mentioned Castle Age is because that's when fire ships start to peel down these docks a little bit faster. However, that was a very good defense there for Miguel. He still hasn't clicked up. What's going on here? There he goes. It's clicked up behind a villager.
Yeah, that's very, very late. And especially because that market was delayed. So now he's behind by almost a minute compared to the others, and that's going to hurt in the water fight.
Yep. You've got villagers on stone for Dogao, so pretty much as we expected. And this is kind of my point. I don't think you can deviate your strategies too much on Forest Pond. So a lot of this is going to become expected. But Hera hasn't actually made an archer range. He hasn't actually made a stable. So Dogao will have the luxury to build the castle forward if he knows that Hera's not going to make those scouts.
Yeah, it's a gamble, especially because this is match points. So are you risking moving forward and potentially just getting destroyed and losing the set? Oh, that's a big demo that could come in.
Decent micro from everyone involved there. And it still looks like Heresy's winning this fight. Of course, Leary's going to be getting water upgrades, so he'll want to keep his units alive here.
Well, yeah, that's easier said than done. That demo could have even tried sniping the repair villager. That could have been massive. As Leary is down to only 4 fire galleys. Most of them are pretty heavily damaged as well.
Yep. They will be fire ships in a second, though. But I think the numbers for Dogao and Miguel are going to win out here regardless. And she's not repairing. So, yeah, good job for Heresy. And we see a very defensive castle for Dogel. This is because he saw the semifinal. He's assuming Hera's going to go for scouts, and Hera's going for a greedy boom. I absolutely love how the mind games are coming into play here. Like, Dogel has every reason to assume that Hera's going to have scouts out there. But there are no scouts.
Even if he doesn't, he's way less aggressive than the Vietnamese players were. That's something that I was talking about with Project Belgium. I casted with Heresy semifinals with him. That both Suomi and Heresy were really, really cautious about every move they make. And I did mention that I want to hype up turtle ships. Here it goes.
You know, it does take quite a few... Whoa! The turtle! Oh my god, did he snipe both demos? I think it did. That was incredible. And we have no demos within Leary's dock. All right, well, that makes the water excitement ramp up a little bit. And I think Heresy definitely in a solid position to be able to take some advantages and maybe take us to a game 6 at least, if they continue this.
And this is the moment where I think Hera's gonna find that castle. That's going to be an important piece of information for him, because he immediately goes for the monastery to defend.
Okay. I wonder if Dogel will realize he's been spotted. I mean, at this point, what you should do in Miguel and Dogal's position is you should add fishing ships. Like, start to fish, gain an eco lead from all this positioning. Also, the turtle ship could range some eco at Leary or Hera's base if Hera and Leary aren't careful. But let's talk about the land on the left side. On the right side, they're not really doing too much, but on the left side, do we like Koreans here? Because you don't have a lead skirm, you don't have Halb if you're Turks. You're kind of restricted in what you can make.
Yeah, but Hera looks like he might be going for an imp here, because his resources are looking pretty close to that. What I love about Dogal's approach is that it's not like it's an all-in castle war wagon push. He's going for a free TC boom, so it's more like just establishing map presence with those war wagons and booming behind it. He's only 5 villagers behind compared to Hera. But as I said, Hera could imp.
Yeah.
Hera's mining stone. Janissaries would still eat war wagons, but it takes quite a lot of time to mass Janissaries.
Yeah, I don't even think the castle is for the units, except for maybe trebuchets. I think what Hera's expecting here is what we have seen from Koreans virtually every time. You see the initial castle, war wagons for map control, then another castle. And then you all in castle age pressure. But if Hera has a castle waiting at home, and he's an imp faster, he can just treb down that castle, and he can start to push right back. So that's actually a really slick idea from Hera. As currently, he's trying to convert, and he gets a turtle ship. We have a Turk turtle ship. Let's go.
That was perfect, because he was converting the fire ship, and then he switched focus to the turtle. And instead of converting a fire ship that was literally 1 HP, he converted a turtle. Oh, I remember.
What do you call it? What do you call a Turk turtle ship?
Turkle. Speaking of that, that's where the war wagons are going. There's a transport here for Miguel, probably into the base of Leary here.
Transport ship. Oh yeah, I see him. I don't know how the wagons can really roll through there. Their wheels are halfway in the water, halfway in the tree. But yeah, right to Leary's base or Hera's base would be really strong. And Hera's on the way to imp as we expected. And then you also are going to see, I think, villagers coming forward for Dogel in a second for a forward castle.
Yeah, there's the defensive castle for Hera. Hera needs that castle just to make sure that the opponent's castle won't destroy him very easily, because he could even go for bombard cannons. He doesn't necessarily need trebs. It's more about just preventing that castle and then the war wagon follow-up from destroying his eco, and that's a very good castle that protects 2 gold mines.
Did those war wagons from Dogel wheel the whole way around there?
Yep.
How did war wagons get behind? Wow, okay, that took a long time. And it also took a long time for Miguel to figure out where he wanted to put the other war wagons. Hera sees this, but not too much harassment here. I mean, he hasn't lost anything yet. He's got a monk to maybe convert 1. Nothing too crazy.
And Lear is imping as well behind this one. I mean, Dogel has a mangonel, but I kind of feel like this war wagon push is already just failed, and it probably won't do much anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Hera's got some idle time. Hera's eco is a little fragile because that 1 TC is idle on the way to imp, right? So, I mean, forcing some idle time, giving both Dogel and Miguel a lot of time to boom. So, I mean, there's positives there. And I also really like the castle spot for Dogel. If he would have placed it forward, this would have almost been what Hera wanted. So, I think typical for Hera, though, he's going to open with a few bombard cannons, and then he'll probably just want to go for Hussar here. So maybe if I'm Dogao, I think about prepping for some Halberdier in the Imperial Age.
He's prepping for stone walls at the beginning, although with Hera having a castle, a petard can easily get through that, even if those walls go up. Leary is going for Hub and Siege though already, and I kind of feel like Miguel is very unprepared for that.
Because... You know what was interesting? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah. So I spoke to Miguel after their semifinal, and I'm good friends with Miguel, so I immediately messaged him, right? And I said, well played, congratulations. He expressed some emotion, he was happy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I think you played your best game in Game 7. And he immediately responded and said he thought his Forest Pond game was his best game, even though I think they lost that one. And I actually disagreed, because I was like, dude, you were an imp really late that game. And I think that's a similar problem here. His late imp time could really kill them.
They lost that game. That was the game where Max did that crazy comeback with the cavalry.
Yeah. You're right. Conversions here for Hera. Turks don't really have the best monks.
Yeah, that was actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
couple of villagers went down. Couple of monks as well. The real danger, I think, is on Miguel's side, because he's not even remotely close to fighting off the Hub and Siege push here. And I mean, Lear is already getting Capdram and Halberdier. It has to be hand cannons for now, but Byzantines have a pretty nice response to that with skirms as well.
Yeah, hand cannons also take a lot of time, so we could maybe see something like Commanderon, which would give you wood crossbows, but I don't know if you want crossbows that only cost wood, even though it's cheap. I do love the Viscount right now for Heresy. They've got much stronger economy, and I also love how Dogao has stopped Hera from using his imp. So Hera's kind of switching back into a boom, not really pushing, and it's all down to if Miguel's going to be able to hold from this really awkward and funky push from Leary.
Yeah, he actually converted Halberdier here for himself. And, well, it looks like Miguel will play Chemistry, and that means we're gonna have hand cannons here. Luckily for him, there isn't really a lot of Halberdiers. That's the only positive I can say about this, though.
Dude, if he loses these houses, he's gonna be so screwed. Like, that is most of his houses right there. I could see him getting pop-capped in a crucial moment, but I guess Leary doesn't care about the houses. He's just gonna go for the TC. That makes sense. Meanwhile, Hera's got like this crazy SimCity farming eco over there. He's on 6 town centers. He's full boom.
Yeah, he's just full booming. Speaking of house, Leary was housed for a long time, as now Miguel will really benefit from that higher HP on the Persian PC.
Yeah. No way. I think if he repairs that, he'll actually keep that up. And Chemistry's only 10 seconds away. So yeah, I guess he could go Gunpowder here, no problem. And then maybe go into something else later on in the game.
Yeah, Lear's eco isn't the most amazing, although for Halberdier spam he doesn't even need an awful lot, and he's taking the stone of Miguel, also denying gold, so Miguel is on a bit of a timer here to clean this one up. And on the other side, looks like we're gonna have Halberdiers as well for Dogao, alongside the massive amounts of war wagons.
I love Dogao's position against Hera. I think he's prepping the right things. Because if Hera goes for Cav Archers, war wagons are fairly good against that, especially with Halbs mixed in. But it just feels like Miguel has all these villagers. But he doesn't have the villagers working where he needs them right now because of this pressure. He's got 56 on wood, 37 on food. Leary has 31 on wood, 35 on food. So, I mean, extra wood income is not really pushing Leary away. And that's what Miguel needs to do. He needs to stop this from getting out of hand.
Yeah, he needed a little bit more time, but they probably can sort of get some inspiration / motivation from Max, because this is exactly what happened when they played against Suomi. They were pushing Suomi quite relentlessly, and then suddenly Max just waits patiently, and then pops out the entire army. And speaking of popping out, Hera wanted to go for CA, but the war wagons don't wait.
Yeah, war wagon's not even elite yet. They they kill 2 bombard cannons, and this is all before these things are even fully upgraded. So Dogao is definitely doing a great job. Miguel just struggling a little bit. But as I say that, the Rams are slowly fizzling out. It's still just Halb and Ram. Bombard cannon goes down. This is a very weird game on the right side. I feel like both players are playing at a different speed on the right side of this map right now.
Yeah, a couple of war galleys in the middle pond will help quite a bit to sort of just damage Hera and Lyri's Wood Eco a little bit. It's not much as... Oh my goodness, Miguel wants to place a house inside the base of Hera. I think he wants to burn that palisade wall down and walk into Hera's base.
Oh, well, he probably clicked it there, and then it can't get through because of the palisade. So yeah, that might be something that he was working on. And here comes Dogao. He's starting to push. He doesn't have Elite War Wagon yet, but he is trying to go for this push. Let's see what these Sipahi Cav Archers can do. Dogao lost so many of those wagons to the castle fire, though.
Yeah, that castle is full of Cav Archers, but Hera needs some more time because he does have Parthian tactics, but Tumbling just came in, Sipahis is on the way. And I have no idea how Sipahi's Cav Archers match up against fully upgraded Elite War Wagon.
Well, I think the difference right now is just the fact that Dogao's forcing reaction from Hera right away.
And
he's not
threats.
letting Hera wait. But he doesn't have Elite War Wagon. So, I mean, I feel like the Sipahi Cav Archers are going to do fairly well here. It's just, will the position be lost?
Well, the castle goes down and now the traps can focus down the ranges. Hera only has 29 CA and I think 30 War Wagons still beat 29 CA and replenishing this is going to be a nightmare for Hera.
Normally he'd open with Hussars even if he gets there. That's not going to work against Halbs, which are on the fields. I think the Cav Archers are trading fairly well considering it's against War Wagon, which is supposed to be tanky, but still the position's lost for Hera. And Lyri's, he's actually gaining a position on the other side, so maybe I shouldn't speak too soon. Aftermath have the population lead as a team.
They do, and Hera's stacking into Hussar. The thing is that it's still easier for Hera to replenish his Cav Archer numbers than it is for Dogao to replenish the War Wagons. It's only 3 castles for him, but Hera is losing ground, as you said, and if he gets pushed off from the gold, that could be a serious issue. He's running out of gold at the back of his base.
The Persians just lack so much flexibility. If you can't make Paladin, you're just stuck making generic units with the Civ. You can't make Arbalest either. I think Lyri's taking advantage of that right now, but he's got to put his foot on the gas. I'm sure Hera's letting him know that things are not going too well over here. And Hera's also going to lose 2 gold spots. So the TC goes down that's on gold, and the Trebs are already camping some gold. He is really going to be struggling for gold, and even that wasn't working, right? I mean, Cav Archers, clearly not enough.
Yeah, this is just giving me some deja vu for the Heresy versus Suomi set, because, as you said, Miguel is really struggling to hold this because he just doesn't have the unit composition to make this happen, although he's stacking into Cav. But on the left side, Hera is dying as well, really fast, in fact.
I know. It's like, who can hold on longer? And I think Hera can hold on longer as he expands to 50 farms in the back corner, just like that. I mean, I just watched hand cannons go down, and now a bombard cannon go down. Miguel is just disappearing from his main base. This is crazy.
But Miguel and Dogao already setting up trade over here. That's going to have its effect in the long run. Elite Skirms, the famous and well-renowned Persian Elite Skirms to slow this down. I still believe that Dogao has a lot more siege behind this one, a lot more beef to just snowball this one. Hera's already forced quite a bit back.
But Hera has 50 units. Hera has he has tankier units. So if it's just stalling, I think that Hera will be better off. But you are right. I guess it's arguably the tougher thing to address. Who wins? Pick one right now. You can't. No takesies backsies, Lita. Who wins this game?
AM.
Okay, you think Aftermath are actually going to do it? That's interesting. Now, these Elite War Wagons are here. They've got 6,000 HP. You've got tons of tankiness. You've also got the Halbs. Very tough to kill, but Miguel's castle is down. Miguel is 31 military. The skirms are Garbo. I mean, there's really nothing special about what Miguel's making right now for his Civ.
I feel like Dogao needs to send his new war wagons to the side of Miguel here. Because that's the only way they can stop this. Because it seems like Hera is able to stall this out a little bit with just the fact that Dogao needs to clean up the production buildings here. Whereas on the other side, Lyri has 5 bombard cannons and that just allows a very, very rapid advance.
Honestly, what Hera's doing with his town centers right now, do you see where he's putting his TCs and where he's putting his farms? Hera is just relocating Eco a little faster than Miguel. So keep an eye on the Vil counts and keep an eye on the resources. But, ooh, here comes Hussar. And that's actually a lot of Hussar for Miguel. And it did not give time for Leary to get any Halbs out. He, of course, had them earlier. But now suddenly, when this many Hussars show up, they will force these units back.
And that's a lot of Bombard, and that would be an insane amount of value lost here for Leary if those go down. And what's even more important is that it buys time for Heresy and buys time for Dogao to snowball the north.
Yeah, also he's adding keeps to fortify the position, excuse me. I also love, oh, excuse me, Bombard Tower. But I love how he's always had 4 trebs. He doesn't show up with just 1.
Look at the right side.
He shows up with 4.
There is somehow a stable and a half for Miguel on the far right, and...
yeah.
It's not gonna do much, but it could be just annoying enough to once again buy time for Miguel, who is going full trash now. Elite Skirm Hussar.
Hera trying to take out the trebs, not able to take out all of them. Hera's pop's still looking good. Somehow, the team populations are 360 to 360, and they're going to go full 360 around the map at this rate. Yeah. Everyone's just going to start losing their base. Oh.
Hera is out of gold, though, so he doesn't really have anything that stops this now. Whereas on the other side, Miguel can slow this down, at least with full trash. It's not going to work in the long run, but what can Turks do without gold? Especially when your food eco constantly needs to be relocated.
Yeah, I mean, Hera can do it. But I'm beginning to believe that Heresy are going to be able to hold on and take this one. Miguel is now doing a better job at holding. And yes, he doesn't have as significant a units. It has been awkward with Persians. But Dogao has just stepped it up. And remember, he was so good in the semis. He's so good in the rest of the tournament. And then it just really hasn't had his finals so far. Heresy are not going to go away quietly.
Indeed, they won't. And they are forcing those bombard cannons back. Leary also needs to be very careful not to lose those. And looks like Leary isn't even noticing those Hussars inside his eco because he lost quite a lot to them. And now Cavalier for Miguel.
Also, 66 military for Dogao. That helps a lot as well. He's got a good mix here. 40 war wagons, 20 to 30 halbs in front from time to time. So really not giving Hera any opportunity. And this is producing from castles, so if he makes more fortifications forward, specifically castles, he'll be able to make more. And now Leary's backing up, and yeah, that's a sign that things are looking very, very good for Heresy.
Yeah, we have a TC on the far left coming in for Miguel, and they also have trades set up. It's not really about the numbers right now, probably less than 5.
A lot of war wagons have gone down.
Actually, look at the trade count. 28 trade cards for Miguel and Dogao. That's also very promising. 0 for AM right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to check up on. Thanks for noticing that. I mean, it's not just the units at this point. It's also the affordability of the units. If this ever gets to a point where Hera is out of gold, as you mentioned earlier, straight Hab will be the answer. I mean, props to Hera. I think investing in the trade would have also been kind of a mistake in some ways. But Miguel's about to complete Paladin. And I think Heresy are holding on.
They do. And when Miguel gets to Paladin and he has the gold for hand cannon even, Paladin hand cannon is probably the strongest unit composition that you can find.
Yeah. Yep, certainly with Persians, except for maybe fully War Elephant. Can't forget about that. Dogao losing some of his mass here, but he took out so many castles. Hera somehow still just having the confidence. He's like, I don't care about your bombard towers. I'll just make more Hussars and hold on to this ball of Cav archers.
But yeah, breaking through this one for Hera is gonna be next to impossible. And remember that the gold mines that Hera has lost are now in the hands of Dogao. That also buys a lot of time for Dogao to establish trade.
Yeah. He does have to get more war wagons, though. Because currently there's a lot of... Oh, and the Bombard Tower got denied. But currently there's a lot of CA, so straight Hab won't work. I think now this is where Miguel starts to shift into some success on the other side. Yeah. Now that he is Paladin, he's going to take out everything. And if he follows this up with Siege, then suddenly Leary's on the back foot.
And those are Persian Paladins, so they deal extra damage against archers as well. Expensive bombard cannons going down. And there is still 2 sneaky villagers on the right side for Miguel, just getting a couple of capped rams in probably to try and bash through those walls. And on the left side, Hera's not pushing forward, that's their problem.
Yep, he's kind of stuck. He can hold really well, he can defend really well, but he's now in a position where he needs to push. When Leary was pushing, everything was fine with defense. Now the roles are reversed. I mean, it took Miguel some time, but maybe they were just holding because they knew they had trade. I mean, they of course didn't know that Leary wasn't trading with Hera and that Hera wasn't trading with Leary. The trade is officially kicked in now, and if you can afford only Paladin, you're going to be fine if you're Miguel.
And population efficiency starts becoming a factor when you need food eco, wood eco trade. Trash units from Byzantines are just not efficient here, population-wise. When your opponent is flooding Paladins, and we already have stables on the left side coming in, Hera would struggle really badly against Paladins with just CA here.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm missing from Miguel is 5 to 10 Siege Rams. If he would have brought in Siege Rams already, he would have taken out the castle, he would have taken out the buildings. Again, props to Hera. Hera's population is looking really strong, but they have 0 trade. So, I mean, they could just call the GG here if they feel like they're dead, because they're up 3-1. You know, they could say, whatever, we'll move on to the next game. But Hera and Leary are not that... They're continuing to fight. They're not looking for an easy way out of this, what is basically a Black Forest game at this point.
Yeah, sort of. But now they're setting up markets. They're hoping for a long game here, but as we are speaking, Heresy is getting closer and closer to the corner, and Hera won't even be able to build markets there because all the space is occupied by his ranges and farms.
I think pretty soon Dogao will be floating the resources to maybe go for Siege Onager. Or just, obviously he'll have to start with Onager. He's been sending gold over to Miguel, I notice. As Miguel maybe fell off with the numbers and is researching Siege Ram. But yeah, I'd really like to see some Siege Onager from Koreans. You don't get to see that too frequently, especially with a unique tech.
Indeed. Hera is still doing a beautiful job preserving his Cav Archer numbers, as Lear now goes for a bit of a counterattack, but this is where the trade really kicks in for Heresy, I believe. 67 trade up for a long, long time.
Yeah. You know, I think that Hussar and Cav Archers with Turks is actually not bad. It's not awful against the wagons. The real issue is just that Dogao always had Trebs with him. So it was like, you know, 55, 60, 40, something like that for Dogao in every fight. It wasn't the most convincing engagement every single time, but man, did he take out those castles. He took out all the TCs. I mean, compared to Leary on the other side, Leary had more of an awkward time pushing Miguel. And I think Miguel had an awkward time defending from it, but he did defend from it, scores 3-2, and we do get one more game at least.
Indeed, Dogao has killed 73 buildings and only lost 2. Leary had 61-9, so that's nothing to be ashamed of either.
Right? Yeah, that was a good game. I mean, not the longest game we've seen on this map before. Do you think that it was a mistake from Leary and Hera to not invest into any trade? Because they still had full corner control.
I still believe that I would have preferred Spanish here. Because if we think about Spanish for this situation, that means that they could have dragged the game out longer. The problem here with Turks is that if you're out of gold, you only have Hussar, and especially if Leary is occupied on the other side, you just run into Halberdiers with the Hussar, and that's exactly what happened. Hera would love to raid with those, but it's nearly impossible. Even if he somehow gets through those bombard towers, there is a very narrow choke point that he would need to use to get into Dogao's base.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, hey, that's a little bit of a motivational game for you as well if you're Heresy. Suddenly you look at this 3-2 scoreline. Obviously, everything I said is true about the Civs earlier, but you just take it one game at a time. You say, you know what? We won that game. We outplayed them. We outsmarted them, whatever. We can win this next one. It will go to one of Aftermath's home maps. And if I'm not mistaken, we've got 2 left. And yes, we do, Lita. So I don't know if you have guesses. I have a guess at which one they'll go for. What are you thinking? Yeah.
At this point, I feel like AM wants to finish this set. They don't want to bring it out to a decider game. It would be epic, though, if we had a decider game. Because, as I said, Miguel and Dogao played every single set to the decider game.
Yeah.
And won all of them, so...
Yeah, Atacama send a message, right? I felt like that Rockslide game was very message sending. Like, hey, we own you. We dominate you. And I think we might see something similar in Atacama. Civ-wise, I'm going to start crossing off some of the civs used, but let me know if anything jumps out at you.
I think Bulgarians is a must-have here.
Interesting, okay.
I feel like Slavs are just a little bit underwhelming, especially because Bulgarians for Kavasan are a little bit and you really need that early blacksmith upgrade. Slavs are just too generic as a scout civilization for Atacama, I believe, for Empire Wars. So you probably do Bulgarians, Chinese maybe, or Malay could be an interesting idea, but I think they're saving Malay for Kavasan.
It's a little tricky. I'm with you. It's a little hard to place the civs at this point in the series for Heresy, but they'll figure something out. I think the good news is for them, they can place a good archer and a good scout civ on this map, and then also on the next one. So they've got options there. For AM, well, you can forget about Spanish at this point.
Yeah, that's out of the question.
Yeah, I think Spanish will no longer be picked. So it's just a matter of when Khmer, Vietnamese, Indians, and Italians will be used. I think Khmer makes a lot of sense here because you can hop inside of houses if it gets messy. And I could see, either Italians or Vietnamese being picked by Leary.
Would probably make more sense to pick Vietnamese over here because if it's Atacama, because you got the bit more aggressive map, less likely to fish, whereas for Kavasan, most people are fishing anyways, might as well use Italians.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Khmer would be the straightforward pick for Atacama, which would make life very hard for Miga and Dogao, because raiding Khmer is just so hard.
It is very hard. I feel like Hera would play good there. At the same time, you cannot only rely on hopping inside the houses with Khmer. We have seen tourneys won and lost with that. So I think, still make sure your focus is on making lots of military, and you'll be in a good spot with that Civ. I like Bulgarians, though. I like that pick for Atacama. Get the blacksmith upgrades nice and early. Try and get a head start with some of the aggression and some of the scout wars. The one thing I've noticed, and it's really weird and hard to really pick out why it always happens, but I feel like every single Atacama victory in this tournament has come down to the archer player one archer player not taking a lot of damage. So, I mean, you would think that everyone would get hit, but it seems like the archer player, if they can survive to a point or not get hit at all, they're almost a player that cannot be threatened in mid-feudal. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and so far, what impressed me about Leary on Atacama is that he was always able to keep all his groups of archers alive. Compared to other players, those archers get picked off by a couple of scouts, and this is why Leary always reached Castle with a mass of 30 or so crossbows, whereas the opponents had 10. Added to the fact that Hera is so good with the scouts, and this is going to be a tough one for Heresy, but I can tell you, I think if they win this somehow, Heresy, then I would say that they might have the better chance in the final game, because that would be a statement, taking away potentially the strongest map of Aftermath here.
Okay, you know what I'd really like to see? And this is from either team. I think this is going to bring a lot of success. The archer player should go 2 spear, 2 archer, or 2 spear, 1 archer immediately to the scout player. And then the other scout player should also follow to the scout player. I want to see an early 2v1 situation because I think that could just devastate someone. And of course, that could even happen on both sides. But doubling the archer player is a little tricky. I think doubling the scout player more awkward to deal with in the early stages.
Indeed, and that could very well be a good game plan for Heresy, because if we remember, for example, I think AM versus Vietnam semifinals, when Hera got doubled by Song Song and Bad Boy, that's where things started to go bad on the Arabia game. So, yeah, Lear is amazing with archers, but if he's forced to chase, that's the best way to just eliminate him from the game, just not let him fight.
Yeah, it feels a little weird that I would say double the scout player when I said the winning players always had the untouched archer player. But I think you start off with a scout player. It's easier to threaten them early. And then you immediately shift that pressure back towards that archer player. It's a little different outlook, but it also depends on the player positions too. Where the players are positioned very much matters on how these things are possible. If you have scout players facing each other on one side, it is actually more difficult and more time consuming for the archer player to go diagonally across the map. So that will be an approach thing.
Indeed. Looks like it's going to be Slavs and not Bulgarians as things stand.
Yeah, I don't hate Slavs because in the mid game your farming eco kicks in. So I really don't hate Slavs. And maybe they want to save Bulgarians, you know? They did pick it rather high. Some people asking why no Spanish. Well, Spanish are you're pretty much set as going for the scout role then, if you're going to go Spanish, because they do not have crossbow. And I just feel like Slavs and Bulgarians are better. And actually, I think I'm looking at the wrong draft, but whatever is remaining with Heresy's draft, or oh god, dude, help me out here, Aftermath's draft would just be stronger than Spanish.
Yeah,
That
Spanish
was
at this
a
point
struggle.
cannot do anything for them. So that
Yeah.
was the only map where really Spanish could have made sense was probably Forest Pond. Maybe just very maybe Rock Slide, but anything else, it's not even a thing. I'm actually disappointed not to see Canberra in the finals. Now that we have a bit of a downtime, I want to ask you about the map because
you know, because it wasn't seen too frequently, I feel like that map was not really figured out. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I mean, we definitely saw some interesting games. I remember when GLB played on that. That was fun. But I find it, I don't know. I think I would have to see a few more games if I had to rank it, but it was solid.
yeah, it's actually a crazy map. My favorite game on that was Arwar versus White Wolf Palace when Arwar tried to go Sicilian transport ship castle drop.
Oh, no, I saw that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. And I mean, it produces entertaining games. Let's put it that way. I think sometimes the crazy YOLO strategies, while they have a high peak in terms of entertainment, if that works is not always the case. So you got like greater highs but greater lows on that map, and not as many like solid games in between. But what a way to try and beat a stronger opponent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it looks like we'll have a game in a moment.
Okay. Cool. Well, it's been a long day for us, Lita. How you holding up?
I'm good. I'm used to Hidden Cup days.
Yeah, man.
Especially because, like, now that I'm in the US, it's a little bit easier. It's only 7 p.m.
True.
Back at home, those Hidden Cup days, you mentioned 13 hours. When you start 3 p.m. your time and you stream until like 4 a.m., that's where it's getting rough.
Dude, that is a struggle for me when I go to Europe to cast events. Like, it is so weird to not start at 10 or 11 a.m. I don't know how, like, I definitely struggle having to cast at these times around midnight or 1. So I'm hoping come Red Bull Wololo that the days aren't super long, but we'll see. I'll figure
Right.
it out.
We have a game, so let's jump inside. And we will have Slavs and Chinese after all for Miguel and Dogao. Looks like they forgot the spec delay here.
Ooh, okay. So we'll be right in this. Nice.
Yep. Make sure that you have probably fast forward a couple of seconds so we're in sync. And the Vietnamese for Khmer, for Lyria and Hera, I kind of feel like I like the AM civs a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know about a lot better. I really think it depends on how it's played out here. And yeah, we're in. Now let's look at the sides here. You've got Miguel playing Slavs, and he is up against the Archer player Leary. So notice his reaction. He immediately starts to tower because we're probably going to see the Spearman Archer forward I talked about. Now let's see if maybe they do a little combinational play. You see where Hera's going? Hera's actually heading over towards Miguel. So I think they're kind of going for what I was thinking about. We could, of course, see the exact same thing from Dogao and Miguel.
Hera and Leary want to team up their scouts on the berries. You see the green ping from Leary telling, okay, that's the berries, and Hera's pinging his own scout. They want to double team the berry villagers of Miguel here, and Miguel does have a spearman close by, but it's apparently running away here.
Yeah, he does not see it. He's currently attacking Leary. He will get one Vil there. So good start for Miguel, especially if he gets out of there without too many hits from the spear. We now have a pause at a really awkward time because Miguel's being attacked in 2 different spots. And I hope this isn't for a hotkey issue or something. Like, if you tried to do something really fast and it didn't work, I mean, rip.
Yeah. By the way, Hera actually trapped the scout of Dogao on the right side with a little house. That's something I'm just noticing. So, as you said, Leary lost a villager to the scouts, but he's probably about to pick off at least one from Miguel, so that should be even.
Not too sure. I don't think Miguel will lose one yet, right? You've
Oh,
still got plenty of exposed villagers for Miguel there on the wood line as we're back in business.
oh, Herod, that's a mistake. I mean, he was fighting that scout that he trapped, he lost the villager, and then he deleted the house and just let that scout go.
Oh, man. And now there's an archer here. Also, at the same time, Miguel did lose a scout. I mean, this is crazy. You cannot expect any of these players to be perfect in these situations. It's just so much happening at once. To me, it looks like Miguel's going to take more damage, though. He'll lose another villager. Now, Dogao hasn't been hit yet. Leary hasn't been hit yet. So, again, the archer players have not been the focus yet.
And for now, Hera can just protect those villagers against the raids. This is where the Khmer comes in so useful. And idle time is still better than losing those villas. As you said, market coming in here for Miguel. I wonder what he's up to with that. He can't just sell his stone. He's buying stone for a second tower.
Oh, geez. We've seen this before, haven't we? Like,
Yeah.
having to buy stone is so rough here. Looking at the vill counts, I know it's not great for Hera, but Miguel down to 35 as well. I see a whole lot of yellow over at Hera's base, though. We still have pressure here from Dogao, and he's getting some good pickoffs on the scouts. Picks off one more, another one.
Yeah.
Spearman getting some hits.
Those scouts are unupgraded, and it's the efficiency of Hera's eco that's sort of suffering from this one. He's got to chase with a lot of villagers here. Still able to go for the second stable, and he does have forging coming in first instead of the defense upgrade. Miguel goes for the defense upgrade instead.
Oh, wow. Bit of a mistake here. Not paying attention to the army is Leary. Leary will lose the spear and the archers. And yeah, Heresy are looking like they're in a very good position. The only thing is, Leary's been rather quiet, and he is on his way across the map right now.
He is, but he only has one spearman escorting his stuff, and the question is, what can Dogao do to preserve his archer numbers now, because he's about to lose quite a few here on the left.
Sure, yep. Could be the same for Leary. Heresy actually has similar military numbers right now, and Dogao is now bringing in more archers and more spearmen towards Hera, who's got to be so annoyed by this. And Dogao will see Leary's army and should be able to defend from this. But oh, wait, no, Dogao didn't know about it, Lita. I take it all back. He loses 2 archers. His villagers are exposed. Advantage aftermath.
Oh boy, that's very bad there. Still, Hera is also going to have a lot of idle time on his farmers, so mass producing those scouts is going to be a problem. And Miguel now going bloodlines, and he's about to hit Hera's wood line.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know Hera was there. That's crazy. Well, Hera, this is actually a correct response. Do some damage with villagers and just buy time for your own scouts instead of just running. And that's good from Hera. He'll actually win that fight. He'll stay on the wood line. Could have been way worse there.
Yeah, he's got the berry villagers idle, though, and I just kind of feel like Hera doesn't have the resource income right now to mass produce scouts, so
yeah,
soon we could see Miguel overtaking in scout numbers. Leary, on the other hand, will be the first to Castle Age.
Yep, and that's the thing. That's the thing. When's the last time we saw an army in Leary's base, Lita? We haven't.
Probably at minute 0. First scout,
yeah, like
that was
right
probably
away.
the first one.
Yeah.
Leary has 18 archers as well. Once again, he never really lost a big group of archers. That's what just makes it so special. If you remember Dogao, he lost at least one group of archers. But on the other hand, if Miguel just goes full scouts here, they could just run into Leary's base, and I think this would be the time to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they have to respect Hera's scout numbers. That's the problem. They have to respect Hera's scout numbers because he's obviously known for pushing forward, but he's in a position to as well. And so Dogao, excuse me, is just hoping to go Castle Age here, but he is going to be behind Leary, which is not going to be good for them, man. Leary has more villagers working, or will, when his TC is producing vills again. He's Vietnamese. He's got amazing archer numbers.
Yeah, he does. He does have +1 defense just like Dogao. On the other hand, though, Leary wants to be careful with those archer numbers in the middle. Losing those would be a disaster for him. But Hera, he's going to push the distracted Dogao, and Dogao's gold mine is wide open.
Yep, Miguel's taking damage. Now Dogao's taking damage. Leary's still not taking damage at home, and they'll take this fight. This is a fight out of Heresy's desperation. They realize the situation they're in, and Leary's going to be okay with that. He still has solid archer numbers. He still has an army coming from... Oh, wait, no. Villagers are heading towards the middle. But yeah, just death and destruction everywhere at Heresy's base.
Now, those villagers might just run into the archers and scouts here for Leary. Dogao lost quite a lot of villagers here on the gold mine, but Leary now has crossbows. And it looks like the TC is probably going up here for Leary. It won't be scouted in time by Miguel and Dogao.
Yeah, and I mean, here comes Crossbow, here comes Bodkin. You still have scouts hitting Dogao. He's losing more villagers. Everything is looking like this is going to be going towards Aftermath here, man. It's just, I do not see what Miguel and Dogao can do to come back from this.
Yeah, it's 12 scouts versus 16. And what's more important is Dogao's got 6 archers. And this is what I highlighted with Leary all the time. It's impressive how he's able to keep his archer numbers alive in these small group archer scenarios. That's not something that Dogao was able to do, and his arch numbers slowly fell apart.
Yeah, just a little bit more activity from Hera maybe with the scouts. It's really hard to say. I would need to rewatch these games because when they play Atacama, it's almost the same thing. Hera falls behind, but Hera's mainly the focus, and then Leary's able to get to this position. And then very hard to stop, very hard to come back. And now, at this point, like, Dogao can't even comfortably take golds. How is he going to compete with crossbow numbers when he can't comfortably take a gold?
He cannot really do that. And what's even worse is that Hera's scout numbers are still better than Miguel's one, despite the fact that Miguel has taken way less damage than Hera did.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's a mass migration for Dogao. He might want to buy 100 stone for a TC here, honestly, on the gold. That would be a lifesaver.
Yeah, but he can't finish it.
True.
He cannot finish it. Oh, man, there go the builds, and they've been spotted by Hera. Oh, no, Dogao.
Yeah, that's just sadness. Especially when the crossbows come in. The scouts are the small problem. The crossbows are the real problem. Although the crossbow numbers are pretty close here. No ballistics on either side.
Yep. More scouts coming into the wood line, so Dogao's got double trouble now. Leary is defending himself, so he's taking a little bit of damage, but nothing crazy. And feels like Dogao and Miguel are probably in agreement that this is pretty over, but they're just trying, hoping that maybe they can do it. And no, they tap out, as many expected. Aftermath, Hera and Leary, just too good on these settings. They're the champions.
Indeed, congratulations to them. And this is where we have to go back to how easily that Golden Pit game was lost. I mean, there was absolutely no guarantees that the Heresy wins that, but there was such an easy loss, and that could have been the thing that makes it a free set and into a decider game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we kind of called it. I think Heresy, they needed everything to go right today. And in the first 2 games, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. They lost game 1 with great civs, just struggled to really get a feel for the game and tossed away some armies in a situation where I think they could have still won and should have still won. Then you had Golden Pit, like you said. I mean, there were actually 3 out of the 6 games where you could say Leary and Hera were either a little fortunate or Miguel and Dogao didn't really play up to their potential. And that's always going to haunt you against a good team. A GG Aftermath.
GG's indeed, and hopefully we'll have a interview as well with the winners over here. We're getting used to interviewing these 2 players for a long time now, so hopefully you're gonna stay around for that as well.
Leary, someone earlier said this, and this is really mean, but it's also kind of funny. Someone said Leary finally allowed Hera to win an Empire Wars tournament because they faced each other in the Red Bull events, and Leary's gotten the better of those engagements. But nah, I mean, we know how good those guys are on the settings, and it'll be fun to hear their input. I'm not going to go for the crazy long interview here, Lita, because it's been a long day, but I think we can maybe alternate with questions. And if they need to get into our voice channel, they should have access. If not, we can get them in here.
They are here in a moment. But yeah, we can actually ask a couple of questions. I am fairly certain that they have a lot on their mind as well right now. And also,
Sure.
I pretty much forgot what happened for the majority of the day already, so...
All right, well, I remember some stuff. There are a few key moments. Due to the nature of some of the games, I think it's going to be tough for me to ask a question about every game, but we'll figure it out. Get them in here, congratulate them. Maybe the viewers will have some questions they want the players to answer.
Indeed. Right.
Okay.
And hello, guys.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, I can hear you. I can hear you. What's up, guys? Congratulations.
Good, good. Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
All right, congratulations, guys. People on the chats have been saying this, so we're just gonna highlight that. Hero, how do you feel that Leary just allowed you to win an Empire Wars tournament finally?
The payment is still not in here. I mean,
We're gonna talk about the prize distribution first. Yeah, man, it feels good, man. First time.
This is probably unprofessional of me not to know this, but it has been a bit. Who is the winner of the first Empire Wars duo?
Us.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure.
I'm going. You're good.
All right, let's take a look at your journey. The first thing I want to ask goes back to the semifinals. How did you feel about Vietnam's strategy here? Because, well, you saw that Gamer Legion won the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, they couldn't play. Was it a concern to you that you didn't have a lot of time to prepare for Vietnam's strategy B here?
You want to go?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one. To be honest, because of the way the draft is, we actually cannot prepare for anyone besides just picking, like, choosing a map that we like to play, which was like Atacama, just because they decide if they're A or B in the draft, and that changes the strategy completely. So we actually had zero preparation, like zero like planned out preparation, simply because we have to, like, we can't decide. We have to just be on the fly. So yeah, it didn't change much, and we had to just think on the fly every time.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a few more questions about the semifinal, so I'm actually gonna,
Nice.
I'm gonna ask about that. So obviously you guys, I don't know when you got the heads up about the change with your semifinal opponent, but you weren't initially going to play Vietnam B, and then game one Arabia. I felt, now feel free to give me the PR professional response. I felt you were a little less aggressive on Arabia because you were just like, we can boom, you know. Could you give me your opinion on how you think you played Arabia? Were you surprised by Vietnam? Everything involved.
There you go.
Well, first of all, we were quite surprised by how they played. Literally dogging us, sending units at us nonstop. It's not a bad thing. It can be very strong if you do it right, and they did it pretty well. We also played a bit more defensive. We also had Vikings and Teutons. Weren't really our special civs, I would say. They're more there to like get an advantage and then roll them over. But yeah, I mean, it was our first game of the day, and you know we're still a bit rusty. But they played it really well. I didn't expect that. I thought the game was over after we cleared the Fuel Edge army. To be honest, yeah, then they just overran us like the next 50 minutes.
Yeah,
So.
I think we added too much eco. Both of us. We should have maybe one guy adds eco.
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
guy, just more army on the field. It's a bit awkward to be constantly getting raided.
Leary, you made more Stonewalls in that game than I think you've made in your entire Age of Empires career. So I'll always remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I just had some stone left over, you know. It wasn't enough for a castle, so I was like, might as well use it somewhere.
It doesn't matter if he stonewalls the whole map, but I have like 5 holes on my side.
Yeah, then I realized Hero was open anyway, and I was just like, complete waste of stone. Why am I walling? Back to the roots.
My fault.
You should have teamed with MBL. Come on, you'd solve those problems, Leary.
He was himself, though. That's the difference.
All right, sorry. Anyways, I digress. Lita probably has some questions about the finals.
Yeah, let's move on to the finals over here. So we started with the Arabia game, and Harry, you picked Pause. That was the last pick on your draft. Explain our thought process for that. So.
You don't want to know.
It took a lot of convincing, honestly. Larry is not on board, but basically the idea was, game one they will pick really strong civs, so we pick like Poles who have really like kind of
nothing.
Potential. Larry says they have nothing, but I think they have potential for a big all-in with castle play. Either you do defensive castle if I'm against the archer player, which I was, and then go for the all-in knights. If I was just a calf player, I would have tried to do forward castles and mine a lot of stone and sacrifice myself for him. So the plan was just to use a bad civ and try to win against good civs, or if we lose, it's fine.
Just make a castle for it.
Best part is I only started producing knights till like 5 minutes after I got castle age.
Do you think that you guys should have won that game? I mean, the way I saw it was they had done fairly everything correct except just throwing army, like taking a couple bad fights, and then their eco never kicked in. So I was curious on your perspective from, in the game and everything that was developing.
I can only talk from my point of view, but from what I've seen, Miguel kind of, I'm not sure, overreacted or underreacted to my 2 spears, 1 archer. He basically lost his meal not taking any berries with Frank, so that's not really that ideal. Kinda loses the Frank bonus right away. And I think Hera, then we got some good damage on Dogawin, so we were always the aggressor rather than the defender, and obviously that suits us very well, and it's way harder to play from a defensive stance than being the aggressor, so.
Okay. Hera, question for you. A lot of, actually, just, I guess it's a team question. Moving forward to the Forest Pond game, kind of feels like Forest Pond is a map that you guys would never pick or really enjoy, but you also tend to do fairly well on it. What went wrong there? Like, what were you expecting from Dogao? Did he surprise you, or is it just kind of a throwaway situation for you guys, and you're just like, whatever. If I lose this game, I'll just play the next one?
I actually like the map. I just boom. I'm fine.
I hate it. I'm paralyzed by fucking war wagons, towers in my base, castles, traps, literally having nothing but water. And usually I didn't even get that in that game, so I had nothing.
I think I honestly think I just that game was my fault for sure, because I didn't commit to the water, so then okay, we lost that, and it didn't give us any compensation on land. I was trying to fast imp, and then I decided, I saw the war wagons, let's just go imp and play composition from home, just boom, and I couldn't even beat this composition, so that game was my fault.
Were you expecting him to forward castle you and fast imp? Is that why you went 3TC mini boom fast imp?
I wanted to actually either I fast imp forward castle with boom behind, so I can slow him down with Trebs and bomber cannons and take a lot of his eco with very low investment from me. Or if he pushes me forward castle, then I, like you said, I boom, fast imp, push back, and then I play with better eco. But none of those things happened. That was the worst scenario.
Okay. Sorry to bring that up. You just won. So
no, it's okay. It was a good question for sure. It was definitely a weird game for us.
Yeah. Going back to the Rock Slide game and overall Kumans, you have seen Kumans quite a lot of usage. You can use this as a flank. We saw you, I think, using Kumans as a scout Simon Takama in the semifinals. You went for a pretty early Kumans pick and used it on Rock Slide. Was it because of how the draft shaped out and you just said, okay, this is the best place for Kumans? Or was the plan from minute 1 that, okay, we're going to have this super aggressive scout strategy on Rock Slide with Kumans?
Humans are broken. Pick them, make scouts win the game. It's actually overpowered, especially in 2v2 where your opponents, actually maybe even better than 1v1, I don't know, but it's just overpowered, honestly. We were thinking better than Magners, maybe.
So you're thinking specifically for Empire Wars, I assume.
Yeah, Empire Wars, because you're saving too much resources too fast, and it's honestly just broken.
Bonus in some way.
You should be able. Exactly. I have not tested it, but with saving that amount of res, can you justify Horse Collar and Bidax and the stable, or are you a little light on food if you try that?
You can, but Horse Collar is just a bad upgrade. So
yeah, just skip it later. Yeah,
there's no point.
I think you were lacking some food for that.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice the first scout for it. It just doesn't make sense.
Sure. Yeah, so you basically get free farm or 2, right? And then you can mass more stables. Makes sense. Really fits your style, Hera. Mm-hmm. Leary and Hera, talk to me. This is the most intriguing thing about all the games that I saw you guys play. Talk to me about openings and where you want to focus early on Atacama, because the theme that I saw in most of the 2v2 Atacamas is somehow, even though someone might end up at Leary's base at the start, Leary finds himself in this position, late feudal, where he won't receive damage. He's on his way to Castle Age, and they can't do anything. Does it start with doubling a certain person? Are you expecting certain things? It's just, I haven't broken it down yet. Give me your thoughts.
I think it's all a setup, to be honest. All these small things which add up, which we usually do better than our opponents. For example, these small fights we're taking. Sometimes we trap units with our quick walls. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously other players quick wall beastly as well, but usually we tend to be a little bit better with that. Our speed as well plays in our favor, and all those small things like 1-2 villager pickoffs, 1-2 archers which die in a fight, they all lead up to us being the aggressor and them being the defender, and then you can just decide wherever you play, and yeah, aggressor is just always better in Empire Wars, I feel like.
But there's no theme necessarily besides, like, for example, Hera in the finals showed up with your early Archer Spearman over to Miguel. Is that like a consistent thing you try and open with, and then you see what happens there? Or, is it positional?
Well, we actually have a bit of a idea in the opening. We just try to notice we pick Vietnamese a lot in those games in Atacama. So we locate the calf player, and I send always my scouts across to the calf player. So we always double the calf player because it's so much harder for the calf player to react to getting doubled with spear and archers, and also like some scouts. So usually what ends up happening is we double the scout player. I'll take some damage at home, but it leaves Leary untouched, and he's able to like just kind of snowball. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing that like the strategy wise, but then like Leary said, the execution for us is usually good on those maps where we're able to micro a lot and stuff.
Okay, sweet stuff. Awesome.
Thank you for leaking everything.
I mean, there was an obvious theme there. I just wanted to hear from you guys.
Next tourney, they're gonna forget anyways. We're gonna forget next tourney. We're gonna have to rethink it.
We're gonna figure out something new, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Next tourney we replace Atacama with Forest Nothing, so no worries.
Oh,
perfect.
All right, congrats, guys. Well-deserved win over here. You were the favorites of the event, and you have proven everybody right, apparently. So I guess now it's your time for a well-deserved rest before Red Bull 05.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for all the work you guys do as well. Hopefully the viewers enjoyed. Take care. GG's.
They did.
Yep.
GG's. And
see you guys. Congrats.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I guess this concludes the event as well for us.
Yeah, man. I had fun casting it. Thanks for all your work with it. I know you had some, so a lot of work put into it, a lot of thought that goes into hosting events. A difficult decision here or there as well. So I just want to say congrats to you. It was another successful event, and I enjoyed casting it. I know the viewers certainly showed up, and the viewers enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it was very nice to have it over here. There is also some sort of emotional connection to this thing, because back when I hosted my first tournament, that was just before ECL land, like a week before that. And this sort of is the same situation right now. There's a gigantic event coming up in the next week. So, well, not next week it depends on where you are, I guess. But very soon a gigantic event coming in, and we preceded this. I am certainly very happy with the way things shaped out, and massive shout out to the players who also showed a lot of flexibility. I think we have to give a shout out to the players because we had server issues this week, for example, and they basically decided, okay, we're just going to play our sets Friday and use recorded games for quarterfinals. So in a very short notice, they were always able to react. And while obviously not everything went as perfect as it should, I think we still got a super fun and entertaining event, especially this final day was exceptional, I think.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the semis. The final was a little disappointing because of a game or two, but ended up getting 6 games out of it. So yeah, man, I had a good time, and I'm very happy. I think the viewers are as well. Very content. When an event finishes, you don't want to feel as though you are unsatisfied, as if your thirst wasn't quenched. So yeah, had fun here, Lita, and thanks for allowing me to hop in and cast with you today.
Oh yeah,
so
it's my pleasure having you. So I'm really happy that everybody enjoyed it. So take care, and I am guessing I will see you on the Red Bull cast. I'll be watching you.
Yeah, man. I'll be around. I'll be around. Thank you, Lita. Appreciate it, bro. Have a nice night.
Have a nice night. Bye-bye.